Chapter 244. Night fell quickly. There were no stars or moon in the dark night sky, and the forest was dark. Junichin sat cross-legged on the ground, his abdomen constantly moving, making buzzing sounds. After a while, a thumb-sized pink figure flew in front of him like lightning. It was Bailey Moyen Xiaotao. Chirp chirp chirp. Xiaotao happily flew around Junichin and Yi Jioga, finally landing on Yi Jioga's shoulder. Although Yi Jioga's little mother Gu hadn't hatched yet, the smell it emitted was still very attractive to Gu. After all, no matter how feminine Xiaotao was, it was still a male Gu in its prime. How have you been recently? Has Bailey Moyen been treating you? Yi Jioga patted Xiaotao's head. Chirp chirp chirp. Xiaotao chirped happily. Bailey Moyen was very good to it, and even found a market square to buy spirit beast pills for it. Stop being so long-winded. Hurry and tell me the situation of the Spiritualist Alliance. Junichin stood up and ordered Xiaotao telepathically. Chirp chirp chirp. Unexpectedly, Xiaotao chirped fiercely. She scolded them for being immoral and asking about her master's situation, and expressed that she would never betray her master, even if she was beaten to death. Yi Jioga didn't expect Xiaotao to be so loyal, and immediately felt ashamed. It was too immoral to use innocent Gu to do bad things. She was about to let Xiaotao go back, but she saw Junichin calmly take out a cherry pill and coldly say, "One pill for one piece of information, deal or no?" Xiaotao smacked her beak, but finally couldn't resist the temptation of the cherry pill, and flew over to take it. Once the pill entered her stomach, her two small black eyes immediately widened, and she chirped. "What do you want to know? Hurry up and ask." This moral integrity really moved Yi Jioga. When will the Spiritualist Alliance arrive, and how do they plan to deal with bloodthirsty sect? Junichin methodically asked. Xiaotao told him all the information she knew. The Spiritualist Alliance would arrive tomorrow afternoon. Their current strategy was to first send people to investigate the situation of Blood Cloud Peak, and then launch an all-out attack. Yi Jioga took the opportunity to ask about Wang Haoqiang and Lin Yanxi. "Both of you are annoying." Xiaotao finally found a chance to complain. That Wang Haoqiang was like a clown, jumping around in front of his master all day long, and even stirring up trouble in private. He was so annoying. Lin Yanxi was also not a good thing. She looked very beautiful and gentle, but every time she came to touch her, she wanted to take the opportunity to kill her. Fortunately, it was smart enough to escape. The green praying mantis that followed Gong Honglei was in a miserable state. Its master was a careless person. He didn't know that Lin Yanxi was so evil, and almost killed the green praying mantis. Fortunately, it gave the green praying mantis an idea. Every time Lin Yanxi came over, it would spray green liquid. Later, Lin Yanxi found it disgusting and stopped coming. The little eagle that followed Nangongli was the best. Its owner drank a lot of ice and ignored everyone. Lin Yanxi couldn't harm it even if she wanted to. "Your master didn't notice anything strange about them?" Yi Jioga asked. Xiaotao and Bailey Moyen had signed a contract, so there was some telepathy between them. "Master doesn't understand what I'm saying, but after he knows that I hate that evil woman, he won't let her near me." Xiaotao was very satisfied with her master. With Bailey Moyen's shrewdness, he should have noticed something. Yi Jioga had a good impression of that swordsman with peach blossom eyes. As long as someone started to suspect something, she was confident that she could expose Lin Yanxi and Wang Haoqiang's identity as spies. "Miss, we can just tell Gong Shifan. Why do we have to make it so complicated?" Yi didn't understand. Before we have conclusive evidence, speaking rashly will only arouse suspicion. Especially since Wang Haoqiang has a grudge with us. The people from the Spiritualist Alliance might think that I'm abusing my position to take revenge. Yi Jioga shook her head. Speaking rashly without evidence would only alert the enemy. At that time, it would be difficult to use the two spies. "Then what should we do now?" Yi Yu asked worriedly. "Of course we're going to meet up with Gong Shifan and the others. No matter what, they're the main force in attacking bloodthirsty sect." Yi Jioga revealed a reserved smile. When Yi Yu saw her smile, he knew that someone was ready to fall into a trap. He couldn't help but rejoice that he was on the same side as Mississippi Little Peach. "You've worked hard. Go back." Yi Jioga was in a good mood. She gave little Peach half a bottle of cherry pills and let her go. The next morning, Yi Jioga made herself look dirty and rushed to meet up with Gong Shifan and the others. What happened to you guys? Gong Shifan was shocked when he saw Yi Jioga in a sorry state. Needless to say, of course they were beaten back. Yu Lingjun laughed gloatingly. Master Gong, let's talk in private. Yi Jioga didn't even look at Yu Lingjun and spoke directly to Gong Shifan. Okay. Gong Shifan nodded and brought Yi Jioga to a place where there was no wind. He then asked, is there news about Bloodthirsty sect? That's right. Yi Jioga told him about Corpse sect. Corpse sect? Gong Shifan was shocked when he heard the name Devil sect. Although their Gong family was very powerful, they were still far inferior to the Devil sect. No wonder Bloodthirsty Ancestor was so arrogant. He had a powerful backer. Master Gong, don't worry. The Een Corpse sect only secretly sent a pseudo-spirit master female envoy and a monster corpse. They wouldn't dare to officially start a war with our spiritualist alliance. Yi Jioga carefully analyzed the situation. Gong Shifan frowned and asked in a deep voice, then what do you plan to do? My plan is very simple. Let Yi Zi restrain the demon corpse. We'll work together to kill Bloodthirsty Ancestor and Corpse sect female messenger Si Yue. Then, we'll kill the demon corpse. Yi Jioga said concisely. Are you sure Yi Zi can trap the demon corpse? Gong Shifan's heart went cold when he heard that the demon corpse had intermediate soul master cultivation. Of course. Yi Jioga smiled and said, I'm also very afraid of death. Then where is he now? Where are your partners? Gong Shifan asked. My partners are near Blood Cloud Peak. They're with Yi Zi and are ready to support us at any time. Yi Jioga swore confidently to Gong Shifan. Yi Yu and Luo Tian were indeed near Blood Cloud Peak. However, Zishang was her trump card. She wouldn't make a move unless it was a critical moment. This is not a small matter. Let me think about it. Gong Shifan's face was heavy. He thought that Bloodthirsty Ancestor was only a beginner soul master, and that his disciples were just a motley crew. That was why he dared to lead the team to kill him. Now that he had pseudo-soul master Si Yue and an intermediate soul master demon corpse, he had to consider whether he could complete this mission. Chapter 245. Wealth comes from danger. There is no such thing as a free lunch. If the Bloodthirsty sect was so easy to deal with, then Master Dongfang wouldn't have used the building master pills to exchange. He would have just asked Emperor Xian Wu to send troops. Yi Jioga reasoned. Gong Shifan remained unmoved. Yi Jioga added, the Een Corpse sect sent Si Yue to collect the Blood Lotus. The Blood Lotus will bloom in 5 days. If you want to steal it, you need to make a decision. Her words directly stabbed Gong Shifan's weakness. When Gong Shifan thought of the Blood Lotus, he thought of his nephew Gong Baiyu. He nodded without hesitation and said, okay, I'll do as you say. Master Gong is truly a straightforward person. That's right. There is one more thing I need to tell you. There is a spy in our Spirit Practitioner Alliance. Yi Jioga directly exposed Wang Haoqiang and Lin Yinxi. Lin Yinxi is also a spy. What evidence do you have? Gong Shifan frowned. No, but I'm sure she is a spy. Yi Jioga said. No one will believe me if I tell them. Gong Shifan shook his head. All the male spirit practitioners in the team had a good impression of Lin Yinxi. Even if he was the leader, he couldn't accuse her without any evidence. I'm not asking you to say it. You just need to know it. When the time is right, you can mention it to Bailey Moyen and Nan Gongli. Forget about Gong Honglei. With Gong Honglei's straightforward personality, telling him was the same as exposing himself. Bailey Moyen and Nan Gongli are both core disciples of the Limitless Sword Pavilion and the Purple Cloud sect. If anything happens to them, I'm afraid we won't be able to pay for it. Gong Shifan said seriously. Although Gong Honglei was also a core disciple of the Limitless Sword Pavilion, he was from a branch sect and was far from the main sect. These two people have such big backgrounds, why are they here? Yi Jioga raised his eyebrows. It shouldn't be a problem for a core disciple of the main sect to get a few building master pills. They came down the mountain to gain experience, that's why they joined us. When I came out, the Alliance Elder told me that no matter what happens, I must ensure their safety. Because Bailey Moyun and Nan Gongli didn't want to be too conspicuous, Gong Shifan hid it from the others. According to what you're saying, we're going to exclude them from this operation? Yi Zhuge frowned. In this team, only the two of them could be of great use. That's not necessary, but don't assign dangerous missions to them. It's good for us, Gong Shifan said meaningfully. When Yi Zhuge said that he was going to leak information about the spy to those two people, he knew that there was something going on. All right, Yi Zhuge sighed helplessly. In the end, he still had to rely on himself. There's not much time left. Let's hurry up. Gong Shifan glanced at the team in the distance. With weaken blood as, they can with king blood, with two with ext with us with I can, with ye with master, t with by with as with. Gong Shifan had been gentle along the way, but it was scary when he suddenly lost his temper. Yu Lingjun and the others didn't dare to say anything. They could only glare at Yi Zhuge. Yi Zhuge naturally couldn't be bothered with them. Chirp chirp chirp. A familiar voice sounded. Xiao Tao flapped her wings and landed on Yi Zhuge's shoulder. Darling, are you here to ask me questions? She asked expectantly. This little guy was addicted to earning cherry pills. Yi Zhuge pretended not to hear Xiao Tao and rubbed her head. He looked at Bailey Moyun and said, You took good care of her. Is that so? It's my first time taking care of a pet, so I don't have much experience. I'm relieved to hear that, Miss Yi. Bailey Moyun smiled. Chirp chirp chirp. Xiao Tao hopped on Yi Zhuge's shoulder, then waved her little wings in the direction of Gong Honglei. Darling, hurry up and take a look at little Greenie. It was injured by that bad woman last time, and it still hasn't recovered. Yi Zhuge looked in Gong Honglei's direction. He was still busy setting up the camp, and didn't seem to have time to come over. I'll go get little Emmy. Xiao Tao flapped her wings and ran away. Soon, the green praying mantis came over on Xiao Tao's body. Red and green was a sight to behold. Yi Zhuge opened his palm, and Xiao Tao threw the green praying mantis off. Hiss hiss hiss. The green praying mantis groaned weakly. It hurts, it hurts. Yi Zhuge opened his spiritual eye, and saw a ball of black gas the size of a grain of rice on the green praying mantis's abdomen. Although goo worms lived on poison, some poisons were their nemesis. For example, this spirit insect exterminator, which specialized in sucking human flesh. It was usually used by spirit plant masters to exterminate pests. It was very lethal to these newly hatched goo worms. Honglei said that this green praying mantis hasn't had much energy recently. Unfortunately, we didn't find a clinic along the way. We couldn't even find a vet to take a look at it. Bailey Moyun said from the side. It's been poisoned by the spirit insect exterminator. Yi Zhuge said as he took out the lightning fire needle and stabbed it towards the ball of black gas on the green praying mantis's abdomen. The black gas immediately flowed along the lightning fire needle and slowly dispersed. The green praying mantis was in so much pain that it curled up into a ball and shivered. However, it didn't spit out a single word. It clearly knew that Yi Zhuge was trying to save it. Chirp chirp chirp, little Emmy, hold on. Xiao Tao jumped up and down at the side. She was so nervous that the fur on her head fluffed up. How did this green praying mantis get poisoned by the spirit insect exterminator? Bailey Moyun asked with a frown. The green praying mantis followed Gong Honglei every day and never left. It couldn't have been Gong Honglei's doing, right? I'll have to ask you this. Who approached your goo insects recently? And who didn't want them to live? Yi Zhuge looked meaningfully at Lin Yanxi, who was in the distance. Chirp 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 chirp. Xiao Tao immediately jumped onto Bailey Moyun's head. She grabbed his hair and shouted angrily. It's that bad woman's fault. I've said it so many times, but you still don't understand. You're such a stupid master. Let go, let go. Bailey Moyun's scalp hurt from Xiao Tao's grip. He quickly grabbed it and scolded. Are you trying to rebel? Chirp 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 chirp. Xiao Tao shouted with an unyielding look. Stupid, stupid, stupid. Does eldest miss know what Xiao Tao is saying? Bailey Moyun looked at Yi Zhuge helplessly. He couldn't deal with the rebellious Xiao Tao in front of Yi Zhuge. Moreover, he couldn't bear to do so. I guess it's probably trying to tell you who the murderer is. Brother Bailey, if you put your heart into it, you'll naturally understand. Yi Joga blinked and lowered his head to continue detoxifying the green praying mantis. Chapter 246. A deep light flashed in Bailey Moyen's eyes. He rubbed Xiao Tao's head. He remembered that Lin Yinxi often came to tease Xiao Tao, but Xiao Tao despised her. Speaking of which, Lin Yinxi seemed to be very interested in goo worms. She had been to Honglei and Ali's places. Could it be done? Yi Jioga removed the needles and finally expelled the insect-exterminating spirit from the green praying mantis's body. Fortunately, it was not deeply poisoned, and it was taken care of in time. Thank you. The green praying mantis thanked him in a soft voice. Compared to the noisy Xiao Tao, it was much more refined. Good. Yi Jioga rubbed the green praying mantis's head and gave it a cherry pill. The green praying mantis slowly ate the cherry pill and rubbed against Yi Jioga's palm gratefully. Chirp, chirp, chirp. Cherry pill. Xiao Tao screamed at the sight of the cherry pill. It did not go to the extent of snatching the green praying mantis's things. It just circled around Bailey Moyen and screamed, "Delicious, delicious, delicious." Stop arguing. Bailey Moyen's head hurt from Xiao Tao's noise. He stretched out his hand to catch it, but Xiao Tao dodged and attacked its master with an even crazier cry. Eat, eat, eat. Young miss, save me. Bailey Moyen covered his ears in pain. Xiao Tao was an angel when she was cute, but a devil when she was hateful. Alright, it's just a cherry pill. Look at you. Yi Jioga glared at Xiao Tao and took out a cherry pill. Xiao Tao immediately flew over and hugged it, then hit on Bailey Moyen's head and happily nibbled on it. The world was finally peaceful. Bailey Moyen's hair was messy, and he looked like he had nothing left to live for. What are you doing? At this time, Gong Honglei finally finished his work and walked over with Nan Gongli. Young miss is treating your little green. Bailey Moyen said and gave Yi Jioga a look. He did not say that the green praying mantis was poisoned, because he was worried that Gong Honglei would question Lin Yinxi. Yi Jioga smiled knowingly and said to Gong Honglei, "Little green is just not used to the climate. It is not a big problem." That's good. Gong Honglei breathed a sigh of relief. He loved his green praying mantis very much. Ali, why don't you take this opportunity to let young mistress examine your little eagle goo? Bailey Moyen changed the topic. After Nan Gongli heard this, he quietly called out Little Eagle. The black-feathered red-eyed little eagle goo slightly raised its chin, trying to maintain the same arrogance as its master. Unfortunately, Nan Gongli was really cold and arrogant, while the little eagle goo was really pretentious. It's very healthy. Yi Jioga had already learned about the little hawk situation from Xiao Tao, so he checked it quickly and gave the little hawk a cherry pill. In the face of such delicious food, the arrogant and indifferent pretending eagle immediately lowered his noble head and swallowed the cherry pill. Then, he raised his head and saw another pretending eagle. I wonder where eldest miss bought this pill from? Nan Gongli asked. Being able to make him, who did not smile, take the initiative to ask, it could be seen that he was very concerned about his little eagle goo. This is a pill I refine myself. It's called cherry pill. It can calm the nerves and gather qi, and nourish the meridians. Yi Jioga strongly recommended. Calm the nerves and gather qi? Gong Honglei looked suspiciously at the small red pill and asked, can people eat it? Of course. Yi Jioga nodded. People were transformed from monkeys. Of course they could eat it. Let me try. Bailey Moyen threw one into his mouth and chewed. After eating it, he immediately expressed his surprise. This taste is too good. Although the calming effect is slightly worse than specialized pills, it is completely worth buying. Speaking of which, how much are you selling this pill? It would be good to buy some for his junior sisters to try. A bottle of 60 pills, 200 silver taels internal price. Yi Jioga said. 60 pills for 200 silver taels, that's too cheap. Bailey Moyen felt it was unbelievable. A calming pill was already more than 500 silver taels. That's why it's internal price. Yi Jioga also hoped that Bailey Moyen and the rest would treat Xiao Tao better, so he did not think of earning money from these rich people. Give me 100 bottles. Bailey Moyen said generously, Me too. Nan Gongli followed. Me too. Gong Honglei also did not hesitate. As expected of a rich person. Yi Zhuge sighed inwardly. Xiao Tao and the rest had followed the right person. I don't have that many cherry pills on hand, so I can only give each of you 10 bottles. The 30 bottles were taken from the purple deceased ration. Then we'll pay first. You can give us the pills when it's convenient. Bailey Moyen wanted to pay on the spot. However, he did not pay with silver taels, but with spiritual jades. Spiritual jades cost 200 silver taels per piece in Great Divine City, and were specially used for spiritualists' cultivation. Above spiritual jades were spiritual pearls, and above them were spiritual stones. It was said that 10,000 gold taels per piece was priceless. In Thunder Nation, spiritual jades were also sold, but the price was higher, 250 silver taels per piece. As Yi Zhuge had no use for them, she never bought them. However, she knew that spiritual jades were more valuable than silver taels, and were the currency used in Great Divine City. Bailey Moyen and the rest used spiritual jades to pay, and insisted on paying according to Great Divine City's price, indicating that they did not want to take advantage of Yi Zhuge. Yi Zhuge knew that Bailey Moyen and the rest did not care about this small amount of silver taels, so she did not refuse. After completing the transaction, Yi Zhuge, Bailey Moyen, and Nan Gongli's relationship became much closer. Even Gong Honglei followed behind her, running back and forth in a very attentive manner. When Yu Lingjun saw this, her eyes turned red with jealousy, and she said fiercely, "What a vixen! Not only does she have that handsome male bodyguard called Yi Zi, she also wants to attract bees and butterflies. How despicable! Lingjun, don't bother with that country bumpkin. She's tarnishing the reputation of our great sect," Lin Yanxi gently advised. "I'll teach her a lesson sooner or later," Yu Lingjun said fiercely. Lin Yanxi smiled even more gently, and her eyes drifted towards Wang Haofeng. Wang Haofeng happened to meet her eyes, and they both understood the meaning in each other's eyes. Sowing discord, using a borrowed knife to kill. Lin Yanxi and Wang Haofeng thought that their conversation was very secretive, but it was all seen by Gong Shifan. However, he did not say much, and only led the group on their way. The group traveled quickly, and finally reached the vicinity of Blood Cloud Peak at dusk. "Eldest miss, didn't you say that your people were nearby?" Gong Shifan asked. Not being able to see Yi Zi made him feel very uneasy. "That's right, I'll call them over now." Yi Zhuge curled her finger and placed it on her lips, and 3 long and 2 short whistles sounded out. After a moment, 2 black figures suddenly appeared in front of everyone like ghosts, and respectfully bowed towards Yi Zhuge. Subordinate greets eldest Mississippi. Chapter 247. These two were Luo Tian and Yi Yu. In order to teach these snobbish disciples a lesson, they purposely used this method to appear. As expected, Xiao Xiaohua's group was blinded. Xiao Xiaohua didn't notice when Luo Tian and Yi Yu approached. If this was an enemy attack, he would most likely be dead. Thinking of this, his heart tightened, and he became more vigilant towards Luo Tian and Yi Yu. Yu Lingjun was also paying close attention to them. However, she was more concerned about why even Yi Zhuge's subordinates were all handsome men. One was beautiful, the other handsome. Was it because she was beautiful that she had such luck with women? She really couldn't accept this. "Yi Yu, Luo Tian, you're here?" Gong Honglei took the initiative to greet them. Although he didn't have much contact with these people in Alchemy City, he recognized them as Yi Zhuge's capable assistants. "Young Master Gong." Yi Yu also greeted. Luo Tian nodded unfamiliarly. "You too. Tell Grandmaster Gong about the current situation of Blood Cloud Peak." Yi Zhuge went straight to the point. "Yes, Blood Cloud Peak has sent more people to patrol, and the Grand Formation has been activated. If we want to enter before the blood lotuses are harvested, we can only attack." Yi Yu solemnly explained the situation. "Attack then. I want to see just how powerful Bloodthirsty Sect's Grand Formation is." Wang Haoqiang shouted. The others also joined in. They didn't care about a small heretic sect like Bloodthirsty Sect at all. Gong Shifan knew that Wang Haoqiang was trying to sow discord. He glanced at Yi Zhuge. Seeing that she didn't say anything, he said, "We'll talk about the Grand Formation later. Everyone set up camp and rest. Honglei, you're in charge of supervising. First Miss Luo Tian, you please come with me. With that, he brought Yi Jioga, Luo Tian, and Yi to the side, clearly to discuss in secret. Seriously, Grandmaster Gong, what can't he say in front of us? He's so secretive, as if he and Yi Jioga are on the same side. Yu Lingjun complained. Exactly. Xiao Xiaohua also had a lot of complaints about this. Don't talk nonsense, my third uncle is just being cautious, Gong Honglei explained. TCH, why don't you all look in the mirror and see what kind of face you have when you see young Lady Yi? Why would she tell you ingrates when she has insider information? Bailey Moyen said disdainfully. Bailey Moyen, don't speak as if you're not with us, Yu Lingjun said angrily. Who's with you? Bailey Moyen rolled his eyes at Yu Lingjun, then put his arm around Nangong Li's shoulder and said proudly, Ali and I are in cahoots. Nangong Li expressionlessly moved Bailey Moyen's hand away and went to help Gong Honglei set up camp. Ali, you really don't give me any face. Bailey Moyen put on a sorrowful expression. Chirp chirp chirp. The master didn't cry and stood up to rub. Xiao Tao comforted him. Xiao Tao is still the best. Bailey Moyen rubbed Xiao Tao's head. If he understood Xiao Tao's words, he didn't know if he would still be able to laugh. Mo Yin, stop playing with the bird. Hurry up and come over to help, Gong Honglei called out. I'm coming. Bailey Moyen walked over. Gong Shifan and Yi Jioga stood on the hillside and could clearly see that the Spiritualist Alliance was divided into two factions. One faction was naturally Nangong Li and Bailey Moyen. The other was Yu Lingjun, Qiao Xiaohua, Wang Haoqiang, Lin Yinxi and the others. As Gong Shifan's nephew, Gong Honglei could barely be considered to be in the middle. With this motley crew, it will be very difficult to attack the bloodthirsty sect. Yi Jioga said bluntly. The more she knew about them, the more she disdained the disciples of the big sections. To use a phrase to describe them, their hearts were higher than the sky, but their lives were thinner than paper. They didn't have any abilities, but their eyes always looked up to the sky. They are used to being flattered in Thunder Nation, Gong Shifan said helplessly. These people were indeed the proud sons of heaven in Thunder Nation. They had never seen the world, so they naturally showed off. The core disciples of the big sects were definitely not as shallow as them. He was fortunate enough to see the true core disciples of the Limitless Sword Pavilion go on a mission. They were truly unparalleled, their swords piercing through the sky, causing people to tremble. However, it was useless to say all this now. The disciples of the big sects would not come to a small place like Thunder Nation. No matter how incompetent these guys were, he could only make do with them. Then let them have a taste of the mountain guarding formation, and at the same time, see what the two spies are planning, Yi Jioga suggested. Okay. Gong Shifan nodded. It was time to let these arrogant kids see the world. Next, Gong Shifan asked Yi Yu and Luo Tian about the mountain guarding formation in detail. Then he started to plan in his heart. Yu Lingjun and the others did not know what was going on. When they heard that they were going to attack the bloodthirsty sect's mountain guarding formation tonight, they all gathered around the fire excitedly, imagining the scene of them showing off their might, breaking through the formation, and killing the bloodthirsty ancestor. Yi Jioga sat on the hillside, watching the motley crew talk. It was an indescribable feeling of exhaustion. If you don't like it, just kick them away. Zishang suddenly appeared and sat beside Yi Jioga, putting his hand on her shoulder. Didn't we agree to keep a low profile? Yi Jioga's shoulder shook, revealing Zishang's claws. Zishang blinked and kindly reminded. I just want to remind you of one thing. There are only 5 days left until we dual cultivate. We'll talk about it after this battle. Yi Jioga was not in the mood to think about dual cultivation. Understood. Zishang kissed Yi Jioga, then disappeared again. In Blood Cloud Mountain, Siyue lazily sat on a spacious chair and casually asked the bloodthirsty ancestor. The people from the Spiritualist Alliance are here. What do you plan to do? Naturally, I will follow Elder Chosen's orders and kill them all. When the time comes, I will need the great messenger's help, the bloodthirsty ancestor said respectfully. Don't worry, ancestor. I will naturally help. Siyue smiled and said, Leave that expert called Yizi to me. I will leave those small fries from the Spiritualist Alliance to you." When the bloodthirsty ancestor heard this, his expression turned ugly. That was not all he wanted. Dealing with Yizi's corpse was enough. He wanted Siyue to deal with the Spiritualist Alliance with him. However, it seemed that Siyue did not want to do anything. "Ancestor, are you not satisfied with this arrangement?" Siyue raised her slender eyebrows and smiled. "Then we can do an exchange. You deal with Yizi, and I will deal with the people from the Spiritualist Alliance." "Great messenger, you must be joking. How can I deal with Yizi? Only you can take him down." The bloodthirsty ancestor immediately put on a fawning expression. Even the intermediate spiritualist corpse could not take down Yizi, so there was no chance for him to do so. Moreover, such a powerful spiritualist, if he could completely kill it, it would be a good material to refine a corpse. When the time came, it would definitely be given to Elder Cho Senator. No matter how active he was, it would be useless. It was better for him to guard his blood cloud mountain. Chapter 248. Right, are there any suitable corpse refiners in the Spiritualist Alliance? Siyue asked. She planned to offer Yizi to Elder Cho-sun, so she had to pick another batch of corpse refiners from the Spiritualist Alliance to fill her own pockets. This group of spiritualists are the elite disciples of big sections. Many of them have good aptitudes, but the one with the best aptitude is Yi Jyoga. Her maternal grandfather, Yun Wei, was once a very famous spirit alchemist. She herself has a mutated thunder spirit root and has extraordinary combat power. She is also very proficient in alchemy. Bloodthirsty Ancestor's plan in Alchemy City was ruined by Yi Jyoga, so he immediately pushed the blame to Siyue. Sea of Cloud. Siyue was slightly startled. "Lady Emissary, have you heard of the Sea of Cloud?" Bloodthirsty Ancestor noticed Siyue's abnormality. The Sea of Cloud was also a great alchemist, but it was nothing in the eyes of the corpse sect. "Never heard of it." Siyue looked down. She remembered that Elder Cho-sun had come to Thunder Nation in private for a spiritualist who was very good at alchemy. However, something happened to the corpse sect, and Elder Cho-sun quickly returned. Bloodthirsty Ancestor was sent to Thunder Nation to cultivate the Blood Lotus. Bloodthirsty Ancestor saw that Siyue didn't want to talk anymore, so he changed the topic. He wanted to talk about dealing with the Spiritualist Alliance, but Siyue didn't want to listen anymore. She stood up and left. Bloodthirsty Ancestor watched her slender figure leave with a sinister glint in his eyes. "Little girl, I'll let you be arrogant for a while longer. I'll deal with you sooner or later." The Spiritualist Alliance's encampment. The sky was bright, and the golden sunlight bathed the entire forest. After a night of rest, the Spiritualist Alliance looked very spirited. They were all ready to attack Blood Cloud Peak. "I thought the Blood Cloud Peak would ambush us. I didn't expect them to be so patient." Gong Shifan asked Yi Jyoga strangely. "Ambushing them won't do them any good." Yi Jyoga said. The Blood Cloud Peak could rely on the protective formation to take care of these rookies. Why would they need to ambush them? Gong Shifan understood Yi Jyoga's meaning and couldn't help but sigh. He resigned himself to his fate and went to reorganize the overly excited and messy team. "Bailey Moyen, Nangong Li Gong Honglei, the three of you have the highest cultivations." Gong Shifan had already thought about the team allocation last night, and there was no hesitation when he arranged it. After the allocation, he pretended to be very natural and added, "The remaining Wang Haoqiang and Lin Yinqi will be in my team, and we will support everyone at any time." When Wang Haoqiang and Lin Yinqi heard this division, their hearts were startled. Could it be that they had been exposed? That was impossible. They had been hiding in their respective sects for so many years, and had never given themselves away. They had been very careful when they joined the team this time. Until now, they hadn't sent any message to Forefather Bloodthirsty. Gong Shifan couldn't know. With this in mind, both of them calmed down and decided to take this opportunity to find out Gong Shifan's background. It would be best if he could take the opportunity to kill Gong Shifan. "Let's go." Gong Shifan gave the order and led everyone to the foot of Blood Cloud Peak. The once lush foot of the mountain was now covered by an endless blood mist. Even the bright sunlight couldn't penetrate it. Standing on the side, they could smell the pungent stench coming from inside. Gong Shifan shot a golden spirit light at the blood mist. After the golden spirit light entered the blood mist, it was like falling into a deep pool, and quickly disappeared without a trace. Everyone be careful. Eat the insect repellent pill first. Gong Shifan took out the pill that Yi Jioga had refined and swallowed it. The others did the same. Even the pickiest Yu Lingshan didn't dare to use this as a joke. When the pill entered the stomach, it would instantly turn cold. Yu Lingjun immediately noticed something was wrong and shouted, "What's going on? Is this spirit pill fake? Why does it look like a pill?" "It's not fake. It's a pill," Yi Jioga said. "You dare to use pills to scare us?" Yu Lingjun angrily asked. When she had checked these pills before, she hadn't noticed that they were pills. If she had discovered it earlier, she would have definitely asked Yi Jioga to return them. Scare or not, as long as it's useful. Yi Jioga was too lazy to deal with Yu Lingjun. He took the lead and brought Luo Tian and Yi Yu into the mountain protecting array. "Ali, let's go," Bailey Moyen shouted. Together with Nangong Li they followed. In the blink of an eye, the three groups disappeared into the red mist. "Are you guys going or not?" Gong Honglei frowned as he looked at Yu Lingjun and Xiao Xiaohua. To be honest, he was also very annoyed with Yu Lingjun. If it wasn't for his uncle's order, he wouldn't be in the same group as this woman. "Let's go." "Why not?" Yu Lingjun gritted her teeth and said, "I want to see how powerful this pill is." "Then let's go." Gong Honglei took out his newly refined Raging Flame sword and rushed in. Xiao Xiaohua pulled Yu Lingjun and followed closely. "Grandmaster?" Wang Haoqiang and Lin Yinxi looked at Gong Shifan. "Let's go." Gong Shifan calmly led Wang Haoqiang and Lin Yinxi into the red mist. The visibility in the red mist was even lower. There was a poisonous miasma everywhere. Yi Jioga only took a few breaths. The grayish grease on his body quickly came out layer by layer. It could be seen how powerful the poisonous miasma was. Why is there so much grease on my body? Yi Jioga, what kind of stupid pill are you refining? Yu Lingjuan's scream came from behind. Yi Jioga simply wanted to roll his eyes. Did this missy think that she was on an outing? She actually made such a sound in the enemy's camp. She really didn't want to die fast enough. Be careful, the blood mosquitoes are coming. Luo Tian's sharp eyes saw a large red cloud flying towards them. The blood cloud that was flying the fastest was heading in the direction of Yu Lingjun and the others. Everyone be careful. Yi Jioga took out his Thunder Snake illusionary whip. His expression also became serious. Not only were there more blood mosquitoes this time, they also looked more ferocious. Although their bodies were only the size of soybeans, the blood thorns on their mouths were incomparably thick. A single stab would definitely make a hole. With so many blood mosquitoes rushing over, the Dan might not be able to hold on. They had to attack. Kill! Yi Jioga took the initiative to attack. His Thunder Snake illusionary whip turned into purple lightning and ruthlessly lashed at the blood mosquitoes. Although Yi Yu did not have a spirit equipment, his skill was special. He could hide in the shadows and temporarily avoid the blood mosquitoes. Then, he could use puppet kill to control the blood mosquitoes to kill each other. Black Tyrant squatted on Yi Yu's shoulder with its small eyes. It turned into a black shadow and devoured the blood mosquitoes that tried to get close to its master. Although Luo Tian did not have a spirit equipment, he had an existence that was even more powerful than a spirit equipment. Chapter 249. After Luo Tian's goo worm, Xiaohong, was injured by Junichen, it was a blessing in disguise and completed its third evolution into a blood jade spider. Its entire body was red, and there were strange black patterns on its back that looked like folded wings. Facing the attack of the blood mosquitoes, it let out an angry roar. It opened its mouth and spat out a red spider web that wrapped around Luo Tian. After the attacking blood mosquitoes were caught in the spider web, they quickly became Xiaohong's food. Luo Tian was very safe inside the spider web. She chanted the insect control spell to disrupt the blood mosquitoes' attacks, and killed many of them. The most pitiful one was Yi Jioga. Z deceased stood beside her while invisible. The blood mosquitoes did not dare to approach the deceased, so they swarmed towards Yi-Jyoga. Yi-Jyoga could only painstakingly brandish her thunder snake illusionary whip to kill those blood mosquitoes. However, with Yi Yu and Luo Tian by her side, she quickly stabilized her footing. At this moment, Bailey Moyen was in some trouble. When they first encountered the blood mosquitoes, the two female spirit practitioners that followed him hid behind him and did not even take out their spirit weapons. In the end, Xiao Tao took the lead and opened her mouth to sing loudly at the blood mosquitoes. Chirp, 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 chirp. The unique sound wave spread out, and the blood mosquitoes' attacks immediately stopped. Bailey Moyen took this opportunity to form a sword art. The dragon-slaying sword rose into the sky and turned into a green rainbow as it slashed forward. The sword light surged forward with an indomitable will and forcefully cut the blood cloud into two halves. Although more than half of the blood mosquitoes were killed, the remaining ones still rushed over and quickly surrounded the two female spirit practitioners behind Bailey Moyen. "Ah, help!" The two female spirit practitioners screamed at the same time and rushed into Bailey Moyen's embrace. If it was a normal situation, Bailey Moyen would not mind enjoying such a rush. However, the situation was dire. The two female spirit practitioners were covered in ash and the bodies of the blood mosquitoes. They looked like monsters. He would be crazy to approach them. Thus, Bailey Moyen nimbly dodged to the side and shouted, "Don't be afraid, junior sisters. These blood mosquitoes are very easy to kill." "Senior brother, I'm afraid." "Senior brother, protect me." The two female spiritualists let out weak cries for help at the same time. Bailey Moyen looked at the woman who was still acting coquettishly, even though she was covered in blood mosquitoes. He couldn't help but cast a pleading look at Yi-Jyoga. Yi-Jyoga was not far from him, waving his lightning snake illusory whip. Sensing Bailey Moyen's cry for help, she very loyally lashed her whip in that direction and shouted to the two female spirit practitioners, "If you want to live, then pick up your spirit weapon and fight. Other than yourself, no one can help you. Trash does not have the right to live. You're the trash. You're the one who doesn't have the qualifications to become a living cultivator." The two female spirit practitioners did not hear Bailey Moyen's consolation, but they heard Yi-Jyoga's mockery. A ball of spirit light washed away the blood mosquitoes on their bodies, and they took out their spirit artifacts to kill the blood mosquitoes with all their might. The corpses of the blood mosquitoes fell like raindrops. The two girls had killed even more than Bailey Moyen. Bailey Moyen silently dodged to the side. He could not afford to hurt a raging woman. Nangong Li's situation was not bad either. The little eagle Gu flapped its wings and sprinted in the red clouds like lightning. Its innate skill was poison feather light. Patches of black feather light cut the blood mosquitoes apart. Nangong Li found an opportunity and threw out a stack of low-level talismans. Boom, boom, boom. Flames shot everywhere. Light and shadow were fierce. The huge power of the talismans quickly killed more than half of the blood mosquitoes. The two male spirit practitioners behind Nangong Li panicked at first. Later, they realized that Nangong Li was able to withstand the attack alone, so they quickly calmed down and hid behind him to kill the lone blood mosquitoes. Everyone had already started to get into a good situation, but Gong Honglei's side was in a mess. Yu Lingjuan's crazy complaints attracted countless blood mosquitoes. Although Gong Honglei took out his blazing sword in time, and Xiao Xiaohua and the other male spirit practitioner responded well, they still could not stop the crazily surging blood mosquitoes. If not for the green praying mantis squatting on Gong Honglei's shoulder to help, his situation would have been even more dangerous. The green praying mantis's innate skill was wind blades. Its iron walls interweaved into green shadows, killing all the blood mosquitoes that approached Gong Honglei. "Gong Honglei, quickly get your green praying mantis to protect me." Yu Lingjun stood behind Gong Honglei and ordered. She was the granddaughter of ancestor Lingyun, and the only woman in this team. These men had the obligation to protect her. "Who the hell has time to care about you? Either fight or die." Gong Honglei could not stand Yu Lingjun anymore and cursed. Xiao Xiaohua stood beside Gong Honglei. Normally, he would definitely jump out to speak for Yu Lingjun. But now the sky was full of blood mosquitoes. If not for the protection of Yi Jiogazine Core, He might have been sucked dry by the blood mosquitoes. He would not be in the mood to suck up to Yu Lingjun. How dare you do this to me? Yu Lingjun screamed in anger. Gong Honglei did not have time to care about her. His blazing sword stabbed out one red sword light after another, but still could not stop the blood mosquito's attack. Yu Lingjun also realized that the situation was not good. She hurriedly took out her spirit artifact, a red spirit brocade embroidered with all kinds of runes. Usually, when she used this spirit artifact, it would flash with beautiful light and shadows, and she felt that she was very beautiful. She was very reluctant to use it to deal with these ugly and disgusting blood mosquitoes, so she only defended and did not attack. Even when Xiao Xiaohua asked her for help, she pretended not to hear. Fortunately, Gong Shifan arrived in time with Lin Yinqi and Wang Haoqiang. They took over most of the blood mosquitoes, relieving the pressure on Gong Honglei and the others. Blood Cloud Peak. Bloodthirsty Elder and Si Yue were observing Yi Jioga and the others through a water mirror. What does Lady Emissary think of these two? Bloodthirsty Elder pointed at Bailey Moyen and Nangong Li. These two had the best performance. One had unparalleled sword chi, the other a talisman expert. They were both excellent seedlings. Not bad. Si Yue revealed a satisfied smile. Not only were these two talented, but they were also very good-looking. They would definitely be very nourishing in bed. Such good seedlings. Doesn't Lady Emissary want to pick them yourself? Bloodthirsty Elder smiled. No need. They are just materials for refining corpses. It will be the same if Elder Emissary helps me get them, Si Yue said with a smile. Elder Cho Sun asked her to kill Bloodthirsty Elder. She did not act, because she wanted to use Bloodthirsty Elder to deal with the Spiritualist Alliance. Why would she help him instead? Lord Emissary, if these Spiritualists fail to attack the Great Mountain Barrier Formation, they might retreat back to Thunder Nation. At that time, it will be difficult for you to attack them. Ancestor Bloodthirsty also laughed. In any case, it wasn't the few good materials that he had his eyes on. Si Yue really cared about the two male spiritualists. She definitely did not want to let them go. She took out the corpse control token and ordered the demon corpse. Bring those two to me. The demon corpse appeared without a sound, then turned into a black shadow and disappeared. Chapter 250. The protective mountain formation was filled with yin qi, and the red mist was getting thicker. The blood mosquitoes seemed to be endless. Fortunately, Bailey Moyen, Nangong Li, and the rest were getting better at dealing with the blood mosquitoes. Even Gong Honglei's group was getting better, without Yu Lingjun holding them back. Young mistress, it seems like these people are still useful, Yi Yu said to Yi Jioga while killing the blood mosquitoes. It's all right. At least it was better than she had expected. Yi Jioga saw that it was about time. Just as she was about to talk to Gong Shifan about retreating, Zishang's voice sounded. The demonic corpse is out. What? The demonic corpse was dead. Before Yi Jioga could react, she saw a black shadow flying over from the blood cloud peak. Red clouds rolled, and demonic aura soared into the sky. A pair of black demonic claws grabbed at Bailey Moyen, and the rest at the front. Bailey Moyen reacted quickly and made a sword sign. The dragon-slaying sword glowed brightly and slashed at the demonic claws. A loud bang resounded. The dragon-slaying sword was slapped back by the demonic claws. Blood seeped out of the corner of Bailey Moyen's mouth, and he took a few steps back. Nangong Li had been paying attention to Bailey Moyen's situation. Seeing that he was in danger, he immediately released a stack of talismans to protect him. The demonic claws continued to fall, and the spiritualists were in chaos. The blood mosquitoes that had been isolated outside swarmed in again. Amidst the chaos, a palm-sized bronze mirror flew into the sky and shot out hundreds of golden rays to block the black demonic claws. Gong Shifan saw that the situation was bad and took out his 100 Eyes spiritual mirror. This 100 Eyes spiritual mirror was made by him using sand gold. It could attack and defend, and was very powerful. Unfortunately, it was not enough to deal with the demonic claws. The demonic claws flashed and doubled in size, pressing down on the 100 Eyes spiritual mirror. Gong Shifan's pupil shrank. He knew that this demonic corpse was powerful, but he did not expect it to be so powerful that he was not its match. Third uncle, what do we do? Gong Honglei had used up too much energy and could not hold on any longer. Retreat! Gong Shifan injected spiritual power into the bronze mirror and raised the demonic claws a little higher. Hearing that they had to retreat, Yu Lingjun was the first to turn around and rush out. In an instant, she rushed out of the mountain defense formation. Xiao Xiaohua and the others followed suit and rushed out regardless. The defensive formation that they had maintained collapsed in an instant. Bailey Moyen, Nangong Li and Gong Honglei were all at the front line. Everyone retreated without saying a word. All of a sudden, all the pressure was on them. The blood mosquitoes also seized this opportunity to attack Bailey Moyen. Bailey Moyen had already suffered internal injuries, and he was struck by the mosquitoes. When Xiao Tao saw that her master was injured, she immediately let out a hysterical cry. A circle of light rippled out from Bailey Moyen. When the blood mosquito's attack was stopped, Little Green and Little Eagle also burst forth with power. The green shadow and the black light intertwined to form a net, protecting their respective masters. Gong Shifan desperately increased the output of spirit power to the copper mirror, but the huge demon claw was still pressing down inch by inch. It seemed that it would not last much longer. Seeing this, Lin Yinxi and Wang Haoqiang could not help but look at each other. Just as they were about to take the opportunity to attack Gong Shifan, Luo Tian and Yi Yu rushed over and shouted, "Master Gong, we will protect you." Only then did the two of them put away the idea of attacking. They pretended to attack the blood mosquitoes, but intentionally or unintentionally left gaps in their defense in an attempt to lure the blood mosquitoes in. Yi Juga saw all of this. She knew that Gong Shifan could not hold on for long, so she said to Zishang, who was hiding at the side, "What are you waiting for?" Zishang stretched his waist and stretched out his white jade-like hand. His palm aimed at the black claw in the sky. An arm-thick purple-black spirit power burst out of his hand and turned into a spear that blasted the black demon claw away. The demon corpse immediately revealed itself and let out a sharp howl as it rushed towards Zishang. Zishang flew up and fought with the demon corpse. The surging clouds chewed up the blood mosquitoes into countless pieces. "Let's go." Yi Jioga used the Thunder Snake illusionary whip to open a path, while Gong Shifan used the 100 Eyes spirit mirror to protect everyone. Only then did they retreat safely. In the Spiritualist Alliance's camp, the spiritualists that escaped earlier gathered together. When they saw Gong Shifan and the others coming from afar, they all revealed nervous expressions. Only Yu Lingjun, the weirdo, did not feel guilty. Instead, she complained to Gong Shifan, "Master Gong, why did you guys take so long to come out? We were so worried." Slap. Yi Jioga suddenly slapped Yu Lingjun, causing her to take 2 steps back. Her face, which was still stained with blood, immediately swelled up. "You hit me." Yu Lingjun covered her face and looked at Yi Jioga in disbelief. Previously, no matter how she ridiculed and insulted him, Yi Jioga acted as if nothing happened. She had always thought that Yi Jioga was a coward. She did not expect that he would dare to hit her at this time. Abandoning your comrades and escaping, this slap is still light. Yi Jioga's beautiful face revealed a dense coldness, stunning Yu Lingjun. Who said that we abandoned our comrades and escaped? We were helping you clear a path of retreat, okay? Yu Lingjun made a fuss and did not forget to pull Xiao Xiaohua and the others. "Don't you think so?" "That's right, we were not escaping. We were just helping you clear a path of retreat. Otherwise, you wouldn't have come back so easily." Xiao Xiaohua braced himself and said, That's right, that's right." Everyone responded. The law did not punish the masses. At this time, who would dare to admit to being a deserter? "Shut up." Gong Shifan suddenly shouted. His stern gaze swept across Xiao Xiaohua and the other spiritualists. The spiritualists avoided his gaze guiltily. Even Yu Lingjun did not dare to look at Gong Shifan. It's everyone's first time facing a demonic corpse. I can understand your fear, terror and nervousness. However, Bailey Moyen, Nangong Li Gong Honglei, and the others have been standing in front of you. Yet you carried them and escaped. This behavior is truly shameful and hateful. We must not tolerate it. Gong Shifan's voice was filled with anger. Every spiritualist who heard him could not help but feel ashamed. They lowered their heads and did not dare to look at him. Master Gong, our team cooperated very well just now. I believe that they did not abandon us on purpose. Please give them a chance to atone for their crimes, Bailey Moyen said, trying to smooth things over. That's right. I saw Yu Lingjun run. I thought it was Master Gong's order, so I followed her. A spiritualist suddenly said. When the other spiritualists heard this excuse, they did not hesitate to target Yu Lingjun. She misled us. *T. Did I force you to run with a knife? Don't throw shit at me. You are not good people either. Yu Lingjun flew into a rage. She completely disregarded her identity as a disciple of a large sect. Chapter 251. Enough, all of you, shut up. Gong Shifan raised his hand, and his pressure enveloped them. Yu Lingjun bit her lower lip, and did not say anything. The others did not dare to make a sound, and looked at Gong Shifan in fear. You are all in the wrong in this matter. Seeing that you are the ones who offended me, each of you will receive a whip as punishment. Gong Shifan said resolutely, and then asked Yi Jioga. I ask Miss Yi to help me carry out the punishment. As you command. Yi Jioga held the Thunder Snake illusionary whip with both hands and pulled it. Lightning shot out in all directions and crackled. She had wanted to whip these guys for a long time. Everyone looked at each other, no one dared to move. Everyone has a share, you can't avoid it. Yi Jioga scanned the crowd and finally fixed his eyes on Yu Lingjun. Yu Lingjun immediately pulled on Xiao Xiaohua's sleeve. Xiao Xiaohua braced himself and said to Yi Jioga, Miss Yi, my junior sister is young and insensible. She is also a girl, can I take her whip? If you can take the whip for her, can you take her to fight, eat and cultivate? Yi Jioga looked at the female spirit practitioners with disdain and said, You don't even have the courage to take responsibility for your mistakes. Hurry and scram back to embroider. Who said no? Fine, I'll go first. A pretty female spirit practitioner clenched her teeth and stood out. This girl was called Su Sun Air, a disciple of Seven-Way Pavilion. She was in the same group as Bailey Moyen. Okay, stand properly, Yi Jioga said, and raised the whip towards Su Sun Air's back. Su Sun Air nervously closed her eyes and tensed up waiting for the whip to fall. With a loud bang, the Thunder Snake illusionary whip flashed with a glaring purple light and ruthlessly landed on Su Sun Air's body. Su Sun Air's body could not help but tremble, but she found that it did not hurt at all. She could not help but look at Yi Jioga in surprise. Next, Yi Jioga held the whip and changed the target. Xiaosun, are you okay? Xia Chenxi, who was in the same group as her, hurried over to support her. She looked at her with eyes filled with worry and fear. This Xia Chenxi was a disciple of the Heavenly Fragrance sect. Although her appearance was not as good as Lin Yanxi's, she was very good at acting coquettishly to please others. Therefore, the male spirit practitioners in her team took good care of her. She had never thought that one day she would be whipped in public. She was so nervous that she was about to throw up. Don't be afraid. It will be over soon. Su Sun Air squeezed Xia Chenxi's hand, which was also a hint to her. Xia Chenxi looked at Su Sun Air's calm eyes in confusion. She wanted to ask a few more questions, but Su Sun Air walked to the side. She knew that it was enough that Yi Jioga had shown mercy. If she said it out loud, she would offend others. After Xia Chenxi was tortured, she discovered that the whip that Yi Jioga had lashed out with was loud thunder, but small raindrops. It did not hurt at all. She understood this, and chose to remain silent. Yi Jioga had indeed shown mercy to Su Sun Air and Xia Chenxi. This was because these two female spiritualists had performed quite well just now, and were worth nurturing. However, she would not be polite to Yu Lingjun and the other male spiritualists. A single whip was guaranteed to pierce through their hearts, but it wouldn't hurt their muscles or bones. After all, she still had to rely on them to break the mountain guarding formation. Wouldn't it be letting them off easy if she injured them? Damn bitch, I will never let her go. Yu Lingjun was slapped and whipped by Yi Jioga. Her hatred for Yi Jioga was really unforgettable. Junior sister, bear with it. Xiao Xiaohua pulled Yu Lingjuan's sleeve and persuaded. Now everyone had a lot of opinions about them. If they continued to show their temper, they might be killed in the mountain guarding formation later. Coward. Yu Lingjun slapped Xiao Xiaohua's face, turned around and ran away aggrievedly. If Xiao Xiaohua could be a little tougher, would he still have to suffer like this? It was all because he was too useless. Xiao Xiaohua did not expect Yu Lingjun to treat him like this. He was stunned on the spot. The sarcastic laughter from the other spiritualists behind him made him even more ashamed. Yu Lingjun, if her grandfather was not ancestor Lingyun, he would not have looked at her at all. Xiao Xiaohua clenched his fists. But if something really happened to Yu Lingjun here, ancestor Lingyun would definitely not let him go. Therefore, he endured the humiliation in his heart and chased after Yu Lingjun, wanting to continue to please and comfort her. Don't run too far. Gong Honglei got up and shouted. Although this place was very far from the mountain guarding formation, it was difficult to guarantee that the people of the bloodthirsty sect would not appear. I don't need your fake kindness. Yu Lingjun replied fiercely to Gong Honglei, then slapped Xiao Xiaohua, who had caught up, and ran into the distant forest. Xiao Xiaohua chased after her while shouting for his junior sister. What a cheap wretch, Bailey Moyen said while clicking his tongue. Maybe he has some difficulties. Gong Honglei still sympathized with Xiao Xiaohua. It was definitely not good to follow such an unruly young lady. TSK, what difficulties? He just wants to suck up to her. Bailey Moyen said disdainfully. Even if you want to suck up to her, you have to wipe your eyes, or you will be trampled to death at any time. You're right. Raising one's cultivation is the most important thing. Playing this kind of trick is really neglecting the essentials. Gong Honglei shook his head. He was born in a branch of the Gong family, and had been looked down upon and discriminated against. In the end, he used his own strength to convince everyone and gained the favor of the main family. Therefore, he sincerely felt that Xiao Xiaohua was wrong. Honglei, be careful. Nangongli suddenly said. Although it was only 4 words, everyone understood what he meant. Xiao Xiaohua and Yu Lingjun were in the same group as him. Now that the two of them were in a bad condition, they might drag him down. Don't worry, my uncle knows what he's doing. When Gong Shifan handed these 2 troublemakers to Gong Honglei, he had also told him that he could abandon them if necessary. But his own life was more important. Just as they were talking, Su Sun Er and Xia Chenxi suddenly walked over together. Beauty, we're very tired now. Let's chat next time. Bailey Moyen blinked his peach blossom eyes and began to flirt. Don't think too highly of yourself. We're not here to look for you. Unexpectedly, Su Sun Er rolled her eyes at Bailey Moyen. Previously, she saw that Bailey Moyen's aptitude was outstanding, and he was also handsome, so she wanted to develop a relationship with him. However, the encounter at the protective mountain formation, and the whipping this time, had made her deeply understand the profound truth that even a sow could climb a tree, and a man could be relied on. Therefore, she wanted to discuss business with Yi Jioga. Xia Chenxi also had the same idea as her. Eldest miss, can you sell us 2 goo worms? Su Sun Er asked. Their group was covered with blood mosquitoes. Only Yi Yu, Luo Tian, Bailey Moyen, Nangong Li and Gong Honglei, who were raising goo, were unharmed. The power of goo worms was obvious. They were simply life-saving weapons. Therefore, they also wanted to buy 2. There were many people who had such thoughts. This was also the reason why no one dared to make a sound when they were beaten earlier. They wanted to build a good relationship with Yi Jioga, so that they could get a goo worm from her. Chapter 252. Sorry, it's not easy to cultivate goo worms. I can't take them out now. Yi Jioga declined. She didn't want to use goo worms as a tool to earn money. Those cute little fellows were worth cherishing. Then can I make a reservation with you? After you cultivate them, sell them to me first. You can name the price. As long as I can afford it, I won't bargain. Su Sun Er said without hesitation. Xia Chenxi hesitated. She only wanted to buy goo worms to deal with this mission. If the price was too high, it would be a loss. Let's talk about it later. Yi Jioga smiled, neither refusing nor agreeing. Although her goo worms were powerful, They were not mainstream. The mainstream in Songlong continent was still raising spirit beasts. She was afraid that when they have good spirit beasts in the future, they would throw goo worms aside. All right. Although Su Sun Air was slightly disappointed, she didn't continue to pester, and left with Xia Chenxi. Gong Shifan happened to come over. After knowing the purpose of Su Sun Air's visit, he casually asked, "Eldest lady, have you ever thought of buying a spirit beast? Our Gong family also has people in the Imperial Beast sect. If you are interested, I can help you pull some strings." In his mind, goo worms were naturally unorthodox. Raising spirit beasts was the right way. However, Thunder Nation was a small place. There were no big spirit beast houses, and the spirit beasts sold were all low rank. High-rank spirit beasts were very expensive, and raising spirit beasts was not easy. Besides the necessary spirit beast pills, they had to eat high-rank demonic beast meat frequently to ensure their bloodthirst. To cultivate them to advance, the difficulty was no less than cultivating a spirit practitioner. So besides the disciples of big clans and sects, it was difficult for ordinary people to raise a good spirit beast. However, Yi Joga was a spirit pill master. This was not a problem for her. No need. Yi Joga had purple decease, treasure-seeking scorpion couple, little mother goo and fat black rat. There were too many animals, she was powerless. Chirp chirp chirp. Xiao Tao suddenly jumped on Bailey Moyen's head and shouted, "Master, you dare to raise a mistress, this is too much. What does this guy want?" Bailey Moyen looked at Yi Joga angrily. Xiao Tao asked if you raise spirit beasts. Yi Joga looked at Bailey Moyen and Nangong Li. These two were the core disciples of the main division. They should not have to worry about resources. "I don't." Nangong Li shook his head. He didn't have the energy to take care of spiritual beasts. "I have a cloud leopard. But don't worry. I will treat everyone equally. I will always treat Xiao Tao well." Bailey Moyen almost swore to the heavens. Chirp chirp chirp. Xiao Tao shouted arrogantly, "If you dare to treat me badly, I will go back and seek refuge with the eldest Mississippi." Alright, seeing how smart Xiao Tao was, Yi Joga was relieved. "Uncle, Yu Lingjun and the others have been gone for a long time. Do you want to go and have a look?" Gong Honglei did not forget to pay attention to the whereabouts of Yu Lingjun and Xiao Xiaohua while chatting. "Let's go take a look," Gong Shifan said. Yi Joga suddenly had a bad feeling. He got up and said, "I'll go with you to take a look." Just as Luo Tian and Yi Yu were about to follow, Yi Joga stopped them. "Look after the others." The others he was referring to were naturally Wang Haoqiang and Lin Yanxi. Although the two of them looked quite honest, there was no guarantee that they wouldn't cause trouble at this critical moment. Yi Joga and Gong Honglei walked in the direction that Yu Lingjun and Xiao Xiaohua left for a full mile. But they did not find the two of them. Where did they go? Gong Honglei frowned. Normal people would not be too far away from the base camp. But thinking of Yu Lingjun's brainless character, he was not sure. "You and Xiao Lu go over there. We'll split up and look for them," Yi Joga suggested. Although the green praying mantis was not a tracking goo, it was still stronger than Gong Honglei. Okay. Gong Honglei summoned Xiao Lu and walked east with it. Yi Joga chose the opposite direction. She walked for a while, and saw that there was no one around. She rolled up her sleeves and called out to the imprint. "Zishang, are you okay?" She did not expect that Zishang would appear just as she finished speaking. Yi Joga was almost shocked. He stared and asked, "When did you come back? Where's the demon corpse?" "The demon corpse was summoned back. I came back a long time ago, and have been by your side. Speaking of which, you were so cute when you whipped people just now. Come give me a kiss." Zishang smiled and kissed Yi Joga's cheek. He liked it when she bullied people the most. "Don't be disgusting. Did you see Yu Lingjun and Xiao Xiaohua just now?" Yi Joga coldly wiped the saliva off his face. "Yes." Zishang nodded, then squinted his eyes and smiled. "If you want to know, beg me." "Beg my ass, can't I check it myself?" Yi Joga said and turned to leave. "Brother Xiaojiu is so boring." Zishang pulled Yi Joga and kissed him again before saying, "Those two idiots fell into bloodthirsty sex trap and were captured. If I remember correctly, you're with us, right?" Zishang actually watched as the bloodthirsty sect took him away. What was wrong with his brain? These two are too annoying. Let them go and harm bloodthirsty sect. To be honest, if Yi Zhuge hadn't whipped them, Zishang would have killed them himself. Zishang's words made sense, and Yi Zhuge was speechless. Just then Gong Honglei's voice came from afar. Eldest miss, there's a situation here. I'll go over and take a look. Continue to be invisible. Yi Zhuge mercilessly left Zishang behind and sped through the woods. Zishang shook his head helplessly, turned invisible, and followed beside her. Here. Gong Honglei waved at Yi Zhuge from afar. What's wrong? Yi Zhuge came to Gong Honglei's side. The weedy wasteland in front of him suddenly revealed several large pits. It was obvious that they were blasted by a spell. Do you think this hairpin belongs to you, Lingjun? Gong Honglei asked as he took out a blue crystal hairpin. Yes. Yi Zhuge nodded. She had seen Yu Lingjun wear it before. Looks like they were captured by bloodthirsty sect. Gong Honglei's expression was solemn. The huge pit still had the unique smell of bloodthirsty sect's techniques. Let's go back and report this to Master Gong. Yi Zhuge was also helpless. Although this was Yu Lingjun's fault, she was still a member of the team. It was up to Gong Shifan to decide how to deal with her. Idiot! When Gong Shifan heard that Yu Lingjun and the others ran a mile away and were captured by bloodthirsty sect, he was so angry that his liver hurt. Wang Haoqiang said sarcastically, if Miss Yu wasn't wronged, why would she run so far away? At the end of the day, you can only blame someone for being too ruthless. Senior brother Wang, don't talk nonsense. Lin Yinchi looked at Wang Haoqiang reproachfully, then sighed and said faintly, Miss Yu is a girl after all. Now that she's in danger, I really don't know how to explain this to Ancestor Lingyun when we go back. What are you worried about? Someone's younger sister is Ancestor Lingyun's favorite. She won't. Before Wang Haoqiang could finish his sarcastic words, he saw a whip in the air fiercely lashing at him. Chapter 253. Wang Haoqiang rolled on the ground, trying to avoid the whip. He didn't expect the whip to be as agile as a snake. After it caught up to him, it used his head as a hammer and smashed it on a rock. Wang Haoqiang's eyes rolled back and he fainted. Yi Zhuge, what is the meaning of this? Lin Yinchi was furious. She was about to condemn Yi Zhuge's immoral behavior, but she found the whip twisting and pouncing towards her. Lin Yinchi quickly took out her fragrant spirit handkerchief, but Luo Tian and Yi Yu disappeared. In the next moment, her figure was controlled by Yi Yu, and the fragrant spirit handkerchief was taken away by Luo Tian. Boo-hoo, how can you bully people like this? Lin Yinchi's pretty face was pale, and her tears fell like pearls. Yi Zhuge, you're going too far. A few male spirit practitioners who admired Lin Yinchi wanted to be a hero and save the beauty, but they were shocked by Gong Weihai's spirit master pressure. Gong Shifan clearly stood by Yi Zhuge's side. Yi Zhuge shook his hand, and the thunder snake illusion whip ruthlessly struck Lin Yinchi's body. Lin Yinchi's face was pale from the pain, and her forehead was covered in cold sweat, looking very pitiful. A few male spirit practitioners couldn't bear to see this, and glared at Yi Zhuge. Yi Zhuge put away the thunder whip with a cold face. He already knew that Lin Yinchi would pretend to be seriously injured, so he helped her. Master Gong, junior apprentice sister Lin didn't do anything wrong. Miss Yi is going too far. A tall male spirit practitioner immediately stood up to speak for Lin Yinchi. Sowing discord is not wrong. Gong Shifan's dignified gaze swept across the spirit practitioners, and he said coldly, I've said it here. If anyone dares to sway our morale, kill without mercy. The male spirit practitioners looked at each other, but didn't dare to say anything. Although they had a good impression of Lin Yinchi, they wouldn't go against Gong Shifan, a spirit master for her. Thinking about it carefully, it was indeed Wang Haoqiang and Lin Yinchi who made mistakes first. These two didn't have any friendship with Yu Lingjun and Qiao Xiaohua, so it was no wonder that they were taught a lesson. At that moment Gong Honglei said, Third uncle, Miss Yu and junior brother Qiao are our people after all. We can't just watch them die in bloodthirsty sect. We have to think of a way to save them. We can't even break the protective array. Saving them is easier said than done. Su Sun Air sighed. The crowd of spiritualists fell silent again. They could not even deal with the blood mosquito, let alone the bloodthirsty sect. At this moment, a thin spiritualist named Sun Shufeng said timidly, "Why don't we go back and get reinforcements first?" "Who's going?" Bailey Moyen asked. "Of course, everyone goes back together," Sun Shufeng said quickly. "Yes, the bloodthirsty sect is too difficult to deal with. Let's go back and get reinforcements." The spiritualists nodded quickly. The tragedy of the Great Mountain Guarding Formation had already made them want to retreat. "If you want to go back on your own. I will definitely destroy bloodthirsty ancestor," said Yi Jiuge. The spiritualists immediately looked at Gong Shifan. "If you want to go back, you can leave now, but only for today. If anyone leaves tomorrow, I will treat them as deserters and kill them without mercy." Gong Shifan made it clear that he would continue to attack the bloodthirsty sect. The spiritualists immediately fell silent. Yu Lingjun and Xiao Xiaohua's fates had already let them know that if they left alone, they would only be defeated one by one. Actually, everyone doesn't need to be so depressed. As long as everyone works together, we can think of a way to break this Great Mountain Guarding Formation sooner or later. Everyone is tired today. Go and rest first. Gong Honglei came out to smooth things over. The spiritualists silently dispersed, each of them looking listless. Gong Shifan walked to Yi Jiuge's side and asked in a low voice, "I wonder if Miss Yi has a way to break this formation?" "Let me think." Yi Jiuge naturally had a way, but he still needed to make some arrangements. "There's not much time left." Gong Shifan frowned. The blood lotus would bloom in 4 days. "I will hurry." After Yi Jiuge sent Gong Shifan off, he called Yi Yu over and asked, "Didn't you say that Skinny Monkey is someone your sister trusts? Can we ask him for help?" "I can try, but I can't enter the Blood Cloud Peak right now." Yi Yu had always wanted to find Skinny Monkey to ask about his sister. Unfortunately, he couldn't pass through the Great Mountain Guarding Formation. Yi Jiuge thought for a moment and said, "I'll let Zishang bring you in." Now only Zishang could freely enter and exit the Great Mountain Guarding Formation. "All right, when do you want to go?" Yi Yu's eyes lit up. "Wait for my news." If he wanted to ask Zishang for help, he had to pay a price. As expected, when Zishang heard Yi Jiuge's request, he unceremoniously pounced on her and ravaged her. Only then did he satisfyingly carry Yi Yu away. A beast will always be a beast. Yi Jiuge bitterly touched her red and swollen lips. After putting on her veil, she asked Luo Tian to call Gong Shifan. "Miss, have you thought of a way?" Gong Shifan asked. "That's right. However, there's something that I need Master Gong's help with." Yi Jiuge nodded. She didn't know what Yi Yu's situation was like. She had to make preparations in advance. "Miss, if you have any requests, please tell me," Gong Shifan replied. "I heard that Master Gong is an expert in refining tools. I want to ask you to help me refine a spiritual tool that can cover up the green miracle pill." Yi Jiuge took out a green pearl. "Green miracle pill? What kind of treasure is this?" Gong Shifan looked at the pill strangely. This green miracle pill specializes in treating blood poison. It can remove the toxins in the human body's blood. It's an excellent pill for detoxifying and nourishing one's skin. Yi Jiuge smiled. "Miss, what kind of time is this? Why are you still thinking about detoxifying and nourishing one's skin?" Gong Shifan was a little angry. "Master Gong, don't be angry. Listen to me first." Yi Jiuge told him the other use of the green miracle pill. Gong Shifan was immediately pleasantly surprised. This green miracle pill can actually be used like this. "Miss, you are indeed a genius in alchemy." Gong Shifan laughed. "If I want this green miracle pill to be effective, I need to ask Master Gong to refine a suitable spiritual tool." Yi Jiuge had thought of this idea at the last minute. Whether it could be successfully implemented depended on Gong Shifan. What a coincidence! I happen to have a spiritual tool that is very suitable. Gong Shifan loved refining tools. Therefore, he had collected a lot of strange things. He immediately took out a palm-sized black pearl from his Qingquan bag and said, "I refined this pearl by imitating the Thunder Shock Pearl. It's a pity that its power isn't that great. However, it's perfect for storing the green miracle pill." Yi Jiuge carefully looked at the black pearl. She immediately nodded in satisfaction. "This is it." With that, She handed a bottle of green miracle pill to Gong Shifan. Can you put all these green miracle pills into the pearl? Of course, I will do it now. Gong Shifan moved quickly. He only used an hour to do it. When Yi Joga received the finished product, Yi Yu finally returned from Blood Cloud Peak. Chapter 254. Where's Yi Zi? Yi Joga looked behind Yi Yu and didn't see Zishang. When we came out, we were discovered by the demon corpses. Yi Zi told me to come back first. He'll be here soon, Yi Yu answered. Oh, then did you find Skinny Monkey? Is he willing to help us? Yi Joga quickly asked. Yes, he's willing to help us. Yi Yu nodded. It was obvious that Skinny Monkey loved his sister deeply. When he heard that Yi Yu wanted to capture Si Yue and exchange her for his sister, he immediately agreed to help. He agreed so easily. Could it be a trap? Yi Joga couldn't help but think of a conspiracy. It's not a trap. Yi Zi tested Skinny Monkey's sincerity, Yi Yu said. Then it's fine. Yi Joga didn't worry about Zishang's demon eyes. Skinny Monkey and I agreed to act in 3 days. 3 days later was the day the blood lotus bloomed. It was their last chance. Okay, inform Junichen later. Tell him to cooperate with us, Yi Joga ordered. Junichen hated outsiders and spiritualists, so he always acted alone. But with his abilities, it was no problem for him to stay in the mountain protection formation alone. I'll go now. Not long after Yi Yu left, Zishang returned. Little Joga, did you miss me? Zishang hugged Yi Joga and kissed him. Yi Joga endured it, and finally pushed Zishang's head away. That's enough. Far from it. Zishang kissed him again. Such a good opportunity didn't come by often. Far from it. Let me ask you, are you sure Skinny Monkey really wants to help us? She would feel uneasy if she didn't confirm it with Zishang. Absolutely. Just wait to take down Bloodthirsty Sect. Zishang squinted his eyes and smiled. Once Yi Joga took down Bloodthirsty Sect, it would be Zishang's turn. Okay. Yi Joga excitedly slapped Zishang's thigh and mercilessly pushed him away. He ran to the camp to discuss the next plan with Gong Shifan. Zishang was already used to Yi Joga's change of heart, so he stealthily followed. In the spiritualist's camp, Gong Shifan nodded after hearing Yi Joga's plan. Okay, we'll do as you say. Then let's gather everyone and announce this good news. Yi Joga laughed. Gong Shifan called Gong Honglei over and asked him to gather all the spiritualists before he left with Yi Joga. Bailey Moyen and Nangongli stood together, winking at Yi Joga from afar. Yi Joga originally wanted to return a smile, but when he saw Zishang's solemn handsome face, he immediately changed his attitude and avoided it. Third uncle, everyone is here. Gong Honglei was implying that he could speak now. Everyone, the blood lotus will bloom in 3 days. It is also our last chance. Fortunately, young Lady Yi has finally found a way to break the mountain guarding formation, Gong Shifan said loudly. When the spiritualists heard the news, they began to discuss it. Is there really a way? Are you trying to fool us? Gong Shifan waited for everyone to finish their discussion before he raised his hand and pressed it down. The spiritualists immediately quietened down. Gong Shifan then nodded at Yi Joga. Yi Joga took a step forward and said, although I have a way to break the mountain guarding formation, this method requires everyone to unite. After she finished speaking, she glanced at the spiritualists. It was obvious that she did not believe them. Young Lady Yi, don't look down on us. Although we quarrel, we also know what is important. Now that we are facing a great enemy, if we don't unite, we will die. Even if we want to leave, it is impossible. Su Sun Er said pragmatically. That's right, that's right. Sun Shufeng and the other spiritualists agreed. In this kind of situation, whoever did not unite would definitely be beaten to death. Since it is like this, then I will talk about my method. I have a spiritual weapon that can affect the mountain guarding formation. As long as we use this spiritual weapon well, we will be able to break the mountain guarding formation and kill our way into the Blood Cloud Peak, Yi Joga said directly. What weapon is so powerful? Wang Haoqiang poked Sun Shufeng, who was standing beside him, and asked softly. You ask me, who should I ask? Sun Shufeng replied snappily. He and Wang Haoqiang were not on good terms. Senior brother Sun, You are an expert of the Seven-Ask Pavilion. You have always studied spiritual weapons. Are you not curious? Lin Yinshi said with a soft smile. After she and Wang Haoqiang were taught a lesson by Yi Jioga, they became a lot more honest. At this time, they only dared to encourage others to ask. They did not dare to say anything. Junior sister Lin is too kind. To be honest, Sun Shufeng was also very curious about this spiritual weapon. He immediately started to jeer with the other spiritualists. What kind of spiritual weapon is so powerful? Quickly take it out and let us see. This spiritual weapon's power is extraordinary. Every time it is used, it will be damaged. Therefore I set up a seal on it. It can only be opened when it is used. Yi Jioga took out a black box the size of a palm, raised it up for everyone to see, then immediately put it back and said, "But the problem now is that this spiritual weapon must be placed in the life position of the formation in order to be effective. Who is willing to complete this task? Since it is Miss Ye's spiritual weapon, why don't you place it yourself?" Sun Shufeng asked doubtfully. When the spiritual weapon activates its power, the great mountain guarding formation will shake for a moment. Only I can seize this opportunity to bring everyone out. Therefore, the installation of the spiritual weapon can only be done by someone else. Yi Jioga said. Everyone looked at each other. No one said anything. This task that required them to go deep into the enemy camp was undoubtedly very dangerous. They did not have this kind of confidence. Bailey Moyen was about to volunteer himself, but Nan Gongli pulled on his sleeve. He looked strangely at Nan Gongli, but Nan Gongli shook his head slightly. He looked like he wanted him to wait and see. Bailey Moyen thought that Nan Gongli was worried about his internal injuries. Just as he was about to say that he was fine, Gong Shifan stood up and said in a deep voice, "This task is indeed very dangerous. Since it is like this, let me lead the team. Grandmaster Gong is really righteous. Who do you plan to bring with you? After all, when you place the spiritual weapon, you will need someone to protect you." Yi Jioga asked hypocritically. "Let's split up like before. Lin Yinshi and Wang Haoqiang will go with me," Gong Shifan said very naturally. Lin Yinshi and Wang Haoqiang were overjoyed when they heard this. Gong Shifan actually wanted to bring them with him for such an important task. He really wanted to die quickly. If they did not kill Gong Shifan and snatch the spiritual weapon, they would be calling themselves spies. "Third uncle, why don't I go with you?" Gong Honglei said anxiously. For such an important task, he did not believe that Lin Yinshi and Wang Haoqiang could protect his third uncle. When Lin Yinshi and Wang Haoqiang heard this, their hearts immediately tightened. They were really afraid that Gong Shifan would change his mind. Chapter 255. No need. When I'm not here, just help Lady Yi manage the team. Gong Shifan refused decisively. Lin Yinshi and Wang Haoqiang were relieved. They quickly promised Gong Honglei, "Senior Gong, don't worry. We'll complete the task seriously." All right. At this point, Gong Honglei could only nod. Everyone rest for a while. We'll start rehearsing the formation breaking later. Gong Shifan waved his hand and dismissed the spiritualists. Yes, the spiritualists were excited to see hope. They gathered together to discuss how to kill all the evil cultivators from the bloodthirsty sect after breaking the formation tomorrow. "Ali, why didn't you let me go just now?" Bailey Moyen hugged Nan Gongli's neck and asked. "Because you're stupid." Nan Gongli glanced at Bailey Moyen and left. "Hey, what do you mean?" Bailey Moyen rushed over unhappily, but was pulled by Nan Gongli to hide behind a big tree. "Ali, do you have feelings for me?" Bailey Moyen widened his peach blossom eyes. Although Ali was very handsome, he still liked women more than women. "What nonsense are you thinking?" Nan Gongli coldly grabbed Bailey Moyen's head and turned it to the left. Bailey Moyen glanced over and saw that Lin Yinshi was standing there in a desolate manner. She had a self-pitying look on her face. "Ali, do you like this type?" Bailey Moyen looked like he was swallowing a fly. He did not agree with Nan Gongli at all. Can your pig brain think of something useful other than love? Nan Gongli really wanted to pry open Bailey Moyen's head and wash it. "If you don't like her, why did you pull me to peep?" Bailey Moyen muttered. His thoughts were normal. Don't make a sound. Watch carefully, Nangongli said softly. Bailey Moyen knew that Nangongli had always been serious and would not do anything unnecessary. He calmed down and observed. Lin Yinxi looked around. When she saw that no one was paying attention, she shook her long sleeves and released a yellow earthworm puppet. The earthworm puppet disappeared as soon as it touched the ground. Lin Yinxi returned to the spiritualists as if nothing had happened. Was that earthworm puppet embedded with the sound transmission stone? Bailey Moyen asked with a frown. Yes. Nangongli nodded. So she's a spy? Bailey Moyen's eyes widened. Other than spies, who would send a voice transmission to the outside world at such a sensitive time? Nangongli continued to nod. No. I have to tell Grandmaster Gong immediately. Bailey Moyen wanted to leave, but he was stopped by Nangongli. They should already know. Bailey Moyen was taken aback, but he quickly understood the key points. So the mission just now was a trap? That's why Ali didn't let him volunteer. That's right. We just need to cooperate with Miss Yi. Nangongli nodded. Ali, how did you know that she was a spy? Bailey Moyen looked at Nangongli in admiration. He really hadn't noticed at all. Because my eyes only see the truth, not filth. It was rare for Nangongli to say such a long sentence. He turned around and left Bailey Moyen, who had a gloomy expression on his face. Within Blood Cloud Peak, Bloodthirsty Ancestor, and Siyue had already received the news from Lin Yinxi. There's actually such a magical spirit tool. We must get it. Siyue said in surprise. Formations were very profound. Their Yin Corpse sect wasn't good at it. Normally they would attack by force. If there was such a spirit tool that could affect the operation of formations, Elder Cho's son would definitely be very happy. At that time, there would definitely be a lot of rewards. I think so too. Bloodthirsty Ancestor agreed on the surface, but in his heart, he felt that he had missed such a treasure. Is that so? Why do I feel that Ancestor doesn't seem willing? Siyue said with a faint smile. Lord Emissary really likes to joke. Oh right, we caught a male and a female spiritualist yesterday. It's said that they are disciples of Danyang sect. Lord Emissary, are you interested in going with me to take a look? Bloodthirsty Ancestor smiled and changed the topic. Okay, then let's go together. Siyue readily agreed. The two arrived at the prison that imprisoned spiritualists. Standing at the door, they heard a sharp female voice shouting. Do you know who my grandfather is? How dare you capture me? Do you believe that I won't tell my grandfather to kill you? Junior sister stopped shouting. Xiao Xiaohua weakly advised. Shut up. If it weren't for trash like you, I wouldn't have been captured by them. Yu Lingjun hysterically screamed. These evil practitioners don't see women as human beings. If they taint my innocence, my grandfather will definitely not forgive you. Xiao Xiaohua was weak. He really didn't have the energy to coax the crazy Yu Lingjun. I'm not interested in trash like this. Siyue looked down from the small window of the prison cell. One look at Xiao Xiaohua's cowardly appearance, and she knew that his skills in bed were definitely not good. TSK, I haven't seen such an ugly female spiritualist in a long time. Bloodthirsty Ancestor shook his head. He also had no interest in Yu Lingjun. Forget it. Keep it. Maybe it will come in handy in the future. Siyue said thoughtfully. Then keep it. Bloodthirsty Ancestor also turned around and left. Spiritualist Alliance Station. Su Sun Air, Xia Chenxi, and other spiritualists were desperately practicing their attack coordination. Although they were arrogant, they were still from large sections. They more or less had some ability. When they worked together seriously, their power increased greatly. Even Yi Jioga had to admit that these disciples from large sects didn't only know how to talk. Some basic formation coordination was still very powerful. Lin Yinxi and Wang Haoqiang also practiced with them. Seeing the scattered soldiers in front of them gradually forming and becoming stronger and stronger, they felt a bit scared. Wang Haoqiang couldn't help but secretly ask Lin Yinxi out in the middle of the night. Junior sister Lin, do you think this mountain guarding formation will really be broken by them? Wang Haoqiang asked worriedly. The stronger these guys were, the harder it would be for them to complete the mission. The mountain guarding formation isn't that easy to break. Lin Yinxi shook her head. She then took out a sound transmission stone from her Qingquan bag and said, "Ancestor has already ordered that Lady Messenger wants us to get that spirit weapon at all costs." Wang Haoqiang took the sound transmission stone and listened. He smiled and said, "Okay, when we kill Gong Shifan, we will take his corpse to show our respect to the Yin Corpse sect's envoy. Maybe she will take us back to the Yin Corpse sect." Now that their whereabouts have been exposed, it would be very difficult to return to their original sect. They had to find a suitable next sect. In any case, he had stayed in the 7 Possibility Pavilion branch for long enough. This righteous sect did everything with their hands and feet tied. Occasionally, he would catch a tender little girl, but he couldn't play to his heart's content. If he could go to the Yin Corpse sect, he wouldn't have to worry about anything. Chapter 256. Senior Apprentice Brother is Right. Lin Yinchi smiled tenderly as she brushed away the hair that had fallen from her forehead. During this period of time, she didn't dare to take blood pills. Her white and flawless skin was starting to look a little pale and sallow. Even small wrinkles were starting to appear. She was not like Su Sun Air and Xia Chenxi. They were real budding youths, but she was an old woman disguised as a young girl. Without the blood pill, she would soon reveal her true colors. The thought of becoming old and ugly made Lin Yinchi want to kill and drink blood. They made up their minds to go to the Yin Corpse sect, so they began to discuss how to kill Gong Shifan and steal the spirit artifact. The two of them discussed happily, but they did not know that their every move was being watched by Yi Jiuge and Gong Shifan. "Master Gong, you must be careful. Don't fall into their trap," Yi Jiuge warned worriedly. "We already know what kind of conspiracy they are playing. If we fall for it again, wouldn't we be stupid?" Gong Shifan laughed twice, not putting Lin Yinchi and Wang Haoqiang in his heart. "Master Gong, the bloodthirsty sect has always been cunning. You should be careful." Yi could not help but advise him. He definitely had the right to speak on this matter. "Yes, I will be careful." Gong Shifan quickly corrected his attitude. After all, bloodthirsty sect's protective mountain formation was not so easy to deal with. If he was careless and fell for it, then his reputation would be ruined. In the blink of an eye, it was the day of departure. Gong Shifan and Yi Jiuge led the spiritualists to the foot of Blood Cloud Peak. The red mist around the protective mountain formation was even thicker. Clumps of blood-colored clouds were densely packed together, giving off a buzzing sound. It was even more terrifying than before. Su Sun Air could not help but swallow her saliva, and her palms could not help but sweat. Xia Chenxi could not stop trembling, and the other male spiritualists were not much better. Although they had already broken through the array formation once before, at that time, newborn calves were not afraid of tigers. They simply did not know how terrifying the mountain guarding array was. Now that they were prepared, they were a little afraid. "Don't be afraid, just follow the previous training." Yi Jiuge saw that Su Sun Air was not confident, so he comforted her. And Su Sun Air nodded. Over the past few days, Yi Jiuge had proven himself with his strength. Although Su Sun Air and the others did not dare to put down their pride to get close to her, they still admired her in their hearts. "Follow me closely," Yi Jiuge commanded and led Luo Tian and Yi Yu into the red mist. Bailey Moyen and Nangongli split into 2 wings and followed her in. His vision was filled with red, miasma filled the air, and a pungent stench assailed his nostrils. However, the expected attack did not come. It was as if the blood mosquitoes had disappeared. "What's going on?" Yi Yu frowned. The last time they entered the array, they were immediately attacked. "Beware of traps," Yi Jiuge warned as he advanced even more cautiously. "What are you trying to do? You're clearly trying to lure the enemy in, okay?" Zishang laughed disdainfully. Yi Jiuge realized that Zishang was definitely an expert at ruining the atmosphere. Such a tense and strange atmosphere that could erupt at any moment came out of his mouth as easily as if he was on an outing. Yi Jiuge couldn't help but be glad that he had purple deceased stealth all this time. Otherwise, those spiritualists would definitely be killed by him. "Young Mistress Yi, what should we do next?" Bailey Moyen, who was on the left, asked in confusion. "Continue forward." Yi Jiuge quickened her pace, and advanced towards the mountain protecting Array's life gate. After walking for another incense stick's time, there was still no movement from the blood mosquitoes. At this moment Zishang suddenly said, "There's an ambush ahead." Yi Jioga opened her spiritual eye and looked carefully. She saw that there were countless dense blood-colored figures halfway up the blood cloud peak. It turned out that the bloodthirsty sect was preparing to launch a sneak attack. "Everyone stay alert." Yi Jioga immediately took out her Thunder Snake illusionary whip. The whip transformed into a purple lightning snake that revolved above her head. Yi Yu and Luo Tian also became alert. Lil Red and Black Tyrant stood by their sides to protect them. Bailey Moyin and the rest moved slightly slower. Suddenly, a loud buzzing sound came from halfway up the blood cloud peak. A huge blood cloud with a pungent stench rushed over. F***CK, what's that smell? It stinks to death. Bailey Moyin had never smelled such a stench in his life. He almost vomited. He hurriedly sealed the position of his nose aperture, but he felt dizzy. At this moment a clear chirp sounded. Xiao Tao flapped her wings and stood on top of Bailey Moyin's head. She looked like she could hold back 10,000 enemies by herself. Ever since she found out that her stupid master was raising a small three-cloud leopard, Xiao Tao had been very proactive. She finally had a chance to make a contribution. "Good job, Xiao Tao. Continue." Bailey Moyin praised and took out his dragon-slaying sword to attack the blood cloud. Xiao Tao proudly let out bird chirps again and again, breaking through the hallucinogenic effects of the miasma. Su Sun Air, Xia Chenxi, Sun Shufeng, and the other spirit practitioners immediately regained their senses and took out their spirit tools to attack the blood mosquitoes. Seeing how powerful Xiao Tao was, Su Sun Air could not help but be tempted. She had never thought of raising a spirit beast before, because it was too troublesome and expensive. But goo worms were different. They had high spirituality, didn't eat much and looked cute. They were worth raising. Her mind was distracted, and the movements of her hands slowed down a little. At this moment, a strange blood light was mixed in the blood cloud. It sinisterly attacked Su Sun Air's head, but she did not notice it at all. Yi Jioga was always on guard against the sneak attack of the bloodthirsty sect disciples. Seeing this, he whipped out his Thunder Snake illusionary whip and extinguished the sneak attack in time. Su Sun Air came back to her senses and broke out in a cold sweat. She quickly thanked Yi Jioga. "Be careful," Yi Jioga replied, then raised his voice and yelled to the crowd. "Everyone be careful of the bloodthirsty sect disciples' sneak attacks." "Damn sneak attacks. Wait for me to rush in and kill them all." Sun Shufeng shouted and shot out colorful spirit lights. This guy was also a weirdo. He usually looked like he was afraid of trouble, but once he was on the battlefield, he became braver the more he fought. He used a low-grade 1000-chance umbrella vigorously and constantly changed. The spirit light it emitted was like a rainbow, blasting out skeletons from the blood cloud. "Kill them all." The other spirit practitioners also yelled in unison. Although the spirit practitioners' morale was high, the bloodthirsty sect disciples were too cunning. The hidden weapons they shot out were all hidden in the blood mosquitoes, so it was very difficult to detect. Luckily, Yi Jioga's eyes were sharp enough. He instantly turned into a mobile force to save the situation, so there were not too many casualties. "Eldest young lady, how far are we from the life gate?" Gong Honglei asked as he killed. "Not far. Everyone follow me to kill." Yi Jioga swung his Thunder Snake illusion whip and blasted a bloody path in the blood cloud. He led the spirit practitioners forward. Seeing this, the bloodthirsty sect disciples immediately increased their attacks and commanded the blood mosquitoes to attack crazily. Yi Jioga and the others stepped on the thick blood mosquito corpses and finally reached the life gate safely. The blood mist in front of them was as thick as water. From above, it looked like a deep red lake, which made people shudder. Chapter 257. In front of us is the life gate. Master Gong, you have to go by yourself. Yi Jioga looked at Gong Shifan meaningfully. "Be careful." Gong Shifan looked deeply at the strange and terrifying red mist in front of him. Without saying anything, he walked forward. Lin Yanxi and Wang Hao forcibly suppressed the joy in their hearts and immediately followed Gong Shifan. The red mist immediately drowned the two of them. They could no longer see their figures. Bailey Moyen knew that the two were spies and couldn't help but worry about Gong Shifan. But since everyone was worried, he didn't seem special. "Eldest miss, are we going to wait here?" Gong Honglei asked nervously. "No, everyone attack the bloodthirsty sect with me now," Yi Jioga said. Yi Yu and Skinny Monkey had already agreed on a place to break the formation. They were just waiting for them to attack. "Now," Gong Honglei frowned. "Third uncle just went in. The chance to break the formation is only an instant. We have to prepare to attack now." Yi Jioga couldn't explain to Gong Honglei that the spirit weapon was a trap for the spies in front of all the spiritualists. "No, I have to wait for third uncle to come out." Gong Honglei shook his head stubbornly. Yi Jioga cursed inwardly. She had seen Gong Honglei's stubbornness before. This was troublesome. There was no time to explain in detail to Gong Honglei. Should he knock him out and take him away? Just as Yi Jioga was considering this possibility, Bailey Moyen suddenly stood up. No way. Bailey Moyen was going to cause trouble? Yi Jioga immediately felt a headache. Unexpectedly, Bailey Moyen looked at Gong Honglei with a serious expression and said, "Honglei, did you forget what Master Gong said before we left? He asked you to help eldest miss manage the team. Is this how you help?" "I'm just worried about third uncle." Gong Honglei was anxious. He definitely had no intention of going against Yi Jioga. "Master Gong will be fine. You should trust him," Yi Jioga comforted. But Gong Honglei didn't know how to express his unease. He had a feeling that something was going to happen to third uncle. "Honglei, eldest miss is our leader now. Military orders are like mountains. You can't bargain." Bailey Moyen knew that Yi Jioga's plan couldn't be delayed. He could only harden his heart and speak harshly to Gong Honglei. That's right. Nangongli also stood up to support Yi Jioga. With these two expressing their stance, Su Sun-er, Xia Chenxi, Sun Shufeng, and the other spiritualists also expressed their support for Yi Jioga. Some spiritualists who wanted to curry favor with Yi Jioga directly asked Gong Honglei to stay while they followed Yi Jioga. Yi Jioga looked at Gong Honglei awkwardly. Of course, she couldn't just leave him here. Fortunately, Gong Honglei quickly sobered up and said to Yi Jioga in shame, "Mo Yin is right. You are our leader now. I should listen to you." "All right then, let's go," Yi Jioga said as he led everyone towards the direction of the death gate. "Eldest miss, that is the death gate." Gong Honglei was stunned. The death gate was a place of no return. "I know. Don't worry, just follow me." Yi Jioga nodded. The most dangerous place was also the safest place. With Skinny Monkey acting as a spy, even the gates of death could be turned around. Gong Honglei still wanted to say something, but Bailey Moyen tugged on his sleeve. "Trust eldest miss," Bailey Moyen said resolutely. Gong Honglei was stunned. When did Bailey Moyen and Yi Jioga become so close? "She is the leader," Bailey Moyen added. Gong Honglei didn't say anything else. Yi Jioga finally let out a sigh of relief. She was extremely grateful to Bailey Moyen. If it wasn't for Bailey Moyen's persuasion, she wouldn't know how much longer she would have to talk to convince Gong Honglei. When the bloodthirsty sect disciples hidden halfway up the mountain saw Yi Jioga, and the others rushed towards the death gate, without looking back, they immediately looked at each other. Why did they turn around? Then what should we do next? The Patriarch's order was to take down all the people from the Spiritualist Alliance at the Life Gate. All of the bloodthirsty sect's forces were deployed here. Moving them would be a huge project. Let them leave first. It won't be too late to chase after them after we kill Gong Shifan. The disciple in charge of this operation quickly made a decision. Gong Shifan, the spiritualist, was still a bigger threat. Thus, the bloodthirsty sect disciples continued to lie in ambush and shot bloody spirit lights at the Life Gate. At the Life Gate, red mist rolled and miasma filled the air. Gong Shifan put up a protective spirit light to block the attacks of the bloodthirsty sect disciples, and cautiously walked inside. Wang Haoqiang pointed at a very hidden empty space and said, "Master Gong, I think this location is pretty good. Why don't we install the spirit weapon here?" "No rush, let's look around a bit more." Gong Shifan shook his head and continued to observe the surroundings. His plan was to wait for the two spies to attack, and then throw down the secret spirit weapon and escape. Thus he had to figure out a way to retreat. Wang Haoqiang and Lin Yinxi looked at each other and slowly approached Gong Shifan. "Why are you guys getting closer?" Gong Shifan frowned and said, "Spread out and find a good spot." Yes. Wang Haoqiang and Lin Yinxi didn't dare to face Gong Shifan directly. They could only split up and pretend to look for a good spot. As time passed, the attacks of the bloodthirsty sect disciples became fiercer and fiercer. Gong Shifan had a high cultivation level, so he naturally wasn't afraid. However, they couldn't resist anymore. The bloody spirit lights of the bloodthirsty sect disciples wouldn't avoid them. "We can't wait any longer." Lin Yinxi gave Wang Haoqiang a look. The old ancestor gave each of them a box of fireballs. He originally wanted to ambush Gong Shifan while he was installing the spirit weapon, but he couldn't wait any longer. Wang Haoqiang received the notification and immediately used his spirit power to activate the fireballs and throw them at Gong Shifan. There was a loud bang. Flames soared into the sky, and the red mist burned until it emitted a pungent smell. Lin Yinxi and Wang Haoqiang pounced at Gong Shifan at the same time to kill him. Gong Shifan was already prepared and immediately used the 100-eye spirit mirror to block their attacks. At the same time, he pretended to be angry and shouted, "What is the meaning of this?" "Apologies, Master Gong. This is our duty, so please come with us to the bloodthirsty sect." Lin Yinxi revealed a fake smile. The fragrant spirit handkerchief in her hand exploded with a hazy white light and tightly trapped Gong Shifan's 100-eye spirit mirror. Wang Haoqiang took the opportunity to throw dozens of fireballs at Gong Shifan. The two of them had discussed many times in private on how to attack Gong Shifan, so their cooperation was very powerful. The explosion rumbled, and a large hole appeared in the bloody mist that filled the sky. Gong Shifan seemed to be in a very difficult situation. Even the secret spirit weapon in his hand fell to the ground. He didn't have time to pick it up and turn to escape. He didn't expect that in the red mist behind him, a skinny figure was silently approaching him without him noticing. Chapter 258. A palm suffused with a thick bloody light slammed into Gong Shifan's body. His body was blown away as if he had been hit by an iron bull. He landed on the ground, a trickle of blood trickling down the corner of his mouth. "Bloodthirsty forefather?" Gong Shifan clutched his aching chest and looked in shock at the thin figure walking out of the red mist. He had been on guard, but he had still fallen into the trap. Bloodthirsty forefather laughed and made a one-handed seal. The blood mist in the sky condensed into a bloody hand that snatched at Gong Shifan. Gong Shifan raised the 100-eye spirit mirror and shot a gold light to shatter Bloodthirsty forefather's bloody hand. "Gong Shifan, is that all you can do?" Bloodthirsty forefather swung his hand, and the blood mist in the sky condensed into many bloody palms that attacked Gong Shifan. The blood mist of the protective formation was made from forefather Bloodthirsty's blood pond. It could be said that it was endless. No one could defeat him in this place. Gong Shifan understood this. If he delayed any longer, he would be killed by Bloodthirsty forefather. He bit the tip of his tongue and spat blood at the 100-eye spirit mirror. The palm-sized 100-eye spiritual mirror suddenly shrunk to the size of a thumb, and then burst out with a bright white light that could blind people's eyes. 100-eye destruction was the unique technique of the Gong family. "Ah, my eyes! My eyes!" Lin Yinxi only saw a white world in front of her. She couldn't see anything. Wang Haoqiang was the closest, and his eyes were bleeding. Bloodthirsty forefather immediately covered his eyes and retreated 3 feet. Gong Shifan didn't want to chase and ran away immediately. However, just as his figure rushed into the red mist, another skinny figure suddenly rushed out, and a pair of bloody red palms fiercely slammed into his body. Gong Shifan was blown away again. He vomited blood and fell on the ground. He lifted his head and found that it was Bloodthirsty forefather who had ambushed him. How is it possible? Gong Shifan didn't believe that Bloodthirsty forefather could recover that fast under his 100-eye destruction attack. "Gong Shifan, you can't escape. Die!" An arrogant voice arose behind Gong Shifan. He turned around and saw Bloodthirsty forefather again. However, this Bloodthirsty forefather had a lively expression, while the one who had ambushed him was as stiff as a corpse. Right, Yin Corpse sect. The bloodthirsty ancestor had a close relationship with the Yin Corpse sect, so he must have his own Yin Corpse. This Yin Corpse looked exactly like the bloodthirsty ancestor. It was very likely that it was his twin brother. The Yin Corpses refined with this cruel method would double in strength. Bloodthirsty forefathers' current strength wasn't at the beginner level of a spirit master, but an intermediate level. They had been tricked. Capture him. Bloodthirsty's forefather ordered his twin Yin Corpses. The Yin Corpse immediately charged at Gong Shifan. Gong Shifan saw that the situation was not good, and immediately swallowed the 100 Eyes spiritual mirror. The dazzling golden light spread from his abdomen to his entire body, condensing into golden crystals that wrapped him up tightly, as if he was sleeping in a golden coffin. The 100-eyed crystal coffin was the Gong family's life-saving technique. These yellow crystals could protect his body from any harm for 100 days. The longer he maintained it, the more energy he had to expend. If it really could only be removed after 100 days, then even if he survived, he would become a cripple. Gong Shifan was betting that Yi Jioge could save him in time. So what if he used this move? He's just struggling at death's door. Bloodthirsty ancestor had a disapproving expression, then ordered Wang Haoqiang, "Bring him back." Yes, Wang Haoqiang's eyes had already recovered a bit. After kicking Gong Shifan, he used a rope to tie him up and drag him to the ground. "Give me the spirit weapon." Bloodthirsty ancestor had already seen Lin Yinshi pick up the black box. Lin Yinshi's hand tightened on the black box. Then she handed it over to bloodthirsty ancestor with a fawning expression. "Ancestor, how about we give it to the Lord Envoy now?" Wang Haoqiang said in a flattering tone. "Let's go." Bloodthirsty ancestor also knew that this treasure was not something he could keep, so he just gave it to Si Yue. At this time, Yi Jioge had just brought Bailey Moyun and the others to the death gate. They saw that this place was covered in blood-red vines, and the red mist emitted the gray of death. Even if they had taken the Eam pill, they still could not stand this thick death aura. "Eldest miss, can we really break the mountain guarding formation from here?" Su Sunair asked with a frown. Of course. Yi Jioge gave Yi Yu a look, asking him to call Skinny Monkey. Yi Yu lit a fire and burned the red communication talisman that Skinny Monkey had given him. The talisman flashed, but the death gate in front of them did not react. Time passed second by second. The martial practitioners could not stand it, and even Xiao Tao and the other goo worms were trembling. They had only hatched for a short time, so they could not adapt to this powerful poison. Under such circumstances, even Bailey Moyun, who trusted Yi Jioge the most, was slightly shaken. "Why don't we leave first?" Bailey Moyun suggested. "Wait a little longer." Yi Jioge's expression was calm, but he was extremely nervous. Did Skinny Monkey betray them, or did something happen? "I'll go in and take a look." Yi Yu gritted his teeth. He did not believe that Skinny Monkey would betray his sister. "It's useless even if you go." Yi Jioge shook his head. This mountain guarding formation could only be broken from the inside. It seemed like he could only let Zishang think of a way. Yi Jioge was about to retreat with his people. Suddenly, the fog around the death gate rumbled, and the entire mountain guarding formation rumbled. Those blood-colored vines were destroyed, as if their lives had been taken away. The red fog dispersed, and a bright opening appeared in front of everyone's eyes. The mountain guarding formation had actually been destroyed. "Charge!" Yi Jioge shouted. Yi Yu rushed in like a gust of wind. Yi Jioge was afraid that something would happen to him, so he instructed Luo Tian to stay and help Bailey Moyun and the others, and chased after him. The two of them passed through the opening and rushed into Blood Cloud Peak, and saw Skinny Monkey lying in a pool of blood. "Skinny Monkey!" Yi Yu was shocked, and rushed over to stop the bleeding, but he found that Skinny Monkey's body was full of holes, and he did not know where to start. "Young mistress." Yi Yu raised his head, and looked at Yi Jioge anxiously. "His meridians are broken, there is no cure." Yi Jioge shook his head helplessly. "Don't worry about me. Elder Ancestor has caught Gong Shifan, and they are dividing the loot in the main hall. Quickly go and save him." Skinny Monkey's mouth was bubbling with blood, and he spoke with difficulty. "All right." Yi Yu nodded his head in pain. If he knew that Skinny Monkey would die from breaking the formation, he would not have begged him. You must save your sister." When Skinny Monkey mentioned Yi Yunji, he immediately grabbed Yi Yu's hand tightly. "I will never give up while I am still alive," Yi Yu said resolutely. Only then did Skinny Monkey let go of his hand. His dilated eyes stared at the red mole between Yi Yu's eyebrows, and the scene of him meeting Yi Yunji, for the first time, gradually appeared in his mind. Dressed in red, with a hint of coldness and gentleness, she was incomparably moving. Skinny Monkey's mouth revealed a blissful smile, and he muttered, "Yunji, Yunji." Then his head tilted, and he completely stopped breathing. Chapter 259. Give his ashes to your sister. Yi Joga believed that this was also the Skinny Monkey's wish. Yi Yu nodded silently, took out a kerosene, and placed it on the Skinny Monkey's body. A raging fire ignited, and in a few breaths, the Skinny Monkey's body was burnt to ashes. Yi Yu carefully put away the ashes and returned to Yi Joga's side. At this time, Bailey Moyen, Gong Honglei, and the others passed through the crack with Luo Tian's help, safely entering Blood Cloud Peak. Gong Honglei finally recovered and said anxiously, "Eldest miss, my third uncle was captured. We need to go save him." "Don't worry. We will definitely rescue Master Gong." Yi Joga nodded and led the spirit practitioners towards Blood Cloud Peak. Blood Cloud Peak inside the hall. Is this the spirit tool that can affect the operation of the formation? Siyue looked curiously at the black box, and her slender white fingers brushed the surface of the box, and asked, "What is inside?" "This subordinate is not sure. We did not have a chance to open it along the way." Wang Haoqiang shook his head. But Yi Joga said that the spirit tool is very powerful, and that when it is opened, someone needs to guard it, so we did not dare to touch it. Lin Yinchi added, "In that case, please guard it, ancestor. I want to see what treasure is inside." Siyue wanted to present a treasure, but she needed to know what it was first. "All right, Lady Envoy, rest assured, ancestor will guard it for you." Ancestor Bloodthirsty also wanted to know what this mysterious spirit tool looked like. Lin Yinchi and Wang Haoqiang, of course, did not have the qualifications to guard it, and could only watch from the side. Siyue sat cross-legged on the ground, her white hands covered in a layer of pale red light, and carefully tore open the yellow seal on the black box. The box opened with a pada sound. Siyue looked carefully, and saw that inside the wooden box was a pearl that was slightly black on the outside, and incomparably green on the inside, emitting a faint fragrance. "What is this?" Siyue curiously picked up the pearl, and was about to take a closer look. Suddenly, the dark green bead shattered with a boom. Thick green smoke billowed, and instantly filled the entire bloody hole. Lin Yinchi, who was standing next to him, smelled this green smoke and immediately softened to the ground. Her delicate face unexpectedly grew numerous bloody blisters, making her look as terrible as a toad. Wang Haoqiang, on the other hand, felt intense pain all over his body. His stomach was churning, and black blood was gushing out of his mouth. Even his 7 apertures were bleeding. "It's the blue panacea. We've been tricked." Bloodthirsty's forefather immediately smelled the source of the thick smoke. The Azure Miracle Pill was a top-grade pill that could detoxify one's skin and remove blood poison. If an ordinary person smelled such a rich smell of the green miracle pill, they would immediately be able to expel the toxins in their body and achieve a brand new effect. But to people from the evil sects like them who cultivated blood for a living, this green miracle pill was a highly toxic object. This was because they used blood to cultivate. The blood in their bodies condensed into blood essence, and when it was expelled by the green miracle pill, it was equivalent to their cultivation being abolished. "You trash! You don't even know that you've been used." Siyue roared furiously. She mainly controlled corpses and supplemented it with blood refinement, so the toxic reaction wasn't very strong. But even so, his cultivation had been greatly depleted. "It's useless to talk about this now. Let's leave this place and go to the blood pool. As long as we replenish our blood in time, we can reduce the damage." Bloodthirsty's forefather's condition was much worse than Siyue's. The blood essence in his body was continuously expelled, and a lot of black blood seeped out of his pores. Even if he could repair it this time, his cultivation would fall by a lot. Siyue was about to agree when she heard the earth-shaking sounds of fighting and the screams of the bloodthirsty sect disciples. Not good, the Spiritualist Alliance is attacking. What's going on? Siyue glared at Bloodthirsty's forefather. Didn't they say that the protective array was impossible to break? Now is not the time to care about this. Hurry up and call the demon corpse back to protect the array, Bloodthirsty's forefather said with a livid face. It really was a case of rain falling on a broken house. The Spiritualist Alliance had actually broken his protective array at this time. Siyue took out the corpse control token and found that it was surrounded by black gas. That was a sign that the demon corpse was working. Needless to say, Yi Zi must have trapped the demon corpse. If she called the demon corpse back at this time, it would be one disaster after another. Damn. She had originally wanted to use Bloodthirsty's forefather to get rid of the Spiritualist Alliance and eat both of them. She didn't expect Bloodthirsty's forefather to be so useless. He actually let the Spiritualist Alliance attack. It seemed like she had to change her plan. So Siyue made a prompt decision and said, "Retreat first, then observe." With that, she left as fast as she could. Cunning little bitch. Bloodthirsty's forefather cursed and prepared to go to the blood pool. "Forefather, please save me." Wang Haoqiang, covered in blood, grabbed Bloodthirsty's forefather's pants and begged. Scram! Bloodthirsty's forefather kicked him in the chest in disgust. Wang Haoqiang's internal organs were already injured by the thick smoke, and now he was kicked by Bloodthirsty's forefather. He fell to the ground with his eyes wide open, looking like he had died with a grievance. Ling Yinchi was so scared that she trembled, not even daring to breathe. Bloodthirsty's forefather couldn't be bothered to look at her. He turned and rushed back to the blood pool. Kill, kill, kill. At this time, Bloodthirsty sect was in chaos. Yi Jioga was leading Bailey Moyun, and the others in a slaughter. Bloodthirsty sect's disciples were not prepared, and many were killed by Yi Jioga, and the others in panic. However, Bloodthirsty sect's disciples were not mediocre. The remaining people immediately fled to the inner parts of Blood Cloud Peak, and used the maze-like narrow passages to counterattack. Blood mist once again filled the entire passage. Bloodthirsty sect's disciples attacked crazily under the cover of the mist. The bloody aura shot out randomly like arrows. There were also many fine needles, numbing needles and blood needles mixed in, making it impossible to defend. Bailey Moyun waved the dragon-slaying sword and stood at the front. The dark green sword light blocked most of the bloody spirit lights. Nangongli assisted him, casting talismans one after another to block the enemy's attacks. Gong Honglei was at the back, preventing people from flanking them. Even so, many spiritualists were injured. Su Sun Air was stabbed by a numbing needle, and half of her body was paralyzed. She had to be supported. Xia Chenxi's face was disfigured by the blood needles, and she didn't even have time to apply the ointment. Sun Shufeng fought too fiercely and consumed a lot of spirit power. He fell to the ground and took out a spirit recovery pill. Eldest miss, attacking like this is not a solution. Bailey Moyun stood at the front and shouted. He could not hold on much longer. Luo Tian, where's your young master? Yi Jioga asked Luo Tian. At this time, he had to ask Junichen for help. Luo Tian didn't reply, but glanced behind him from the corner of his eyes. Yi Jioga immediately understood. He walked to the wall behind Luo Tian and said, "Little mute, come out and help." Chapter 260. Little Mute? Who? Bailey Moyun was very curious when he heard this strange name, so he turned his head to look. The wall in front of Yi Jioga suddenly fell off, and a 9-year-old boy with pale skin, dark pupils, and exquisite facial features appeared in front of everyone. He glanced at the goo worms indifferently. Little Red and Black Tyrant lowered their heads. Little Peach, who was originally very excited, immediately quieted down. The green praying mantis shrunk its head, looking very afraid. Even the pretentious little eagle Goo was very respectful to this boy. This was the prestige of a Goo king. Little Mute, help them scout ahead. The sooner we eliminate those disciples, the sooner we can find Bloodthirsty ancestor. Yi Jioga knew that Little Mute would not help these spiritualists, so he could only use Bloodthirsty Ancestor as an excuse. As expected, when Little Mute heard about finding Bloodthirsty Ancestor, a fierce glint flashed in his big black eyes. He slowly raised his small hand, and a dark light surged out of his palm, turning into countless black goo worms that scattered in the tunnel. Little Mute withdrew his hand, and expressionlessly looked at Little Peach. Chirp, 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 watch me. For some reason, Little Peach's furry face became very serious. It flapped its little wings, circled in the air, and finally chose a tunnel and rushed in. Let's follow Little Peach, and immediately attack when we hear its cries. Yi Jioga glanced at the spiritualists, then said to Bailey Moyen, "You can find Little Peach's tracks, right?" "I can find her, but can I rely on him?" It was not that Bailey Moyen was not responsible, but that Little Peach was too deceptive. "Don't worry. Those goo worms just now are tracking goo that specifically target bloodthirsty sect disciples. Just follow Little Peach, and we can defeat them one by one." Although Yi Jioga was not confident in Little Peach, he was very confident in Little Mute's tracking goo. Alright, let's give it a try. In this situation, Bailey Moyen could only bite the bullet and rush forward. In the dark tunnel, Little Peach's pink feathers were very eye-catching. It jumped up and down like it was catching bugs, and suddenly jumped into a corner and chirped excitedly. Bailey Moyen immediately took out his dragon-slaying sword and slashed in the direction it pointed. With a boom, blood splattered everywhere. The corpse of a bloodthirsty sect disciple fell from the originally empty wall. His eyes were wide open, as if he had died with a grievance. "Good job, Little Peach. Continue." Bailey Moyen took out a cherry pill and threw it over. Little Peach flew over and swallowed it in one gulp. She immediately became more proactive in searching for enemies. Bailey Moyen followed Xiao Tao's instructions and killed many enemies hiding in the dark. Even if there were occasional sneak attacks, Little Eagle and Little Green would discover and intercept them in time. "You guys deal with these disciples. We'll go find Patriarch Bloodthirsty." Seeing that Bailey Moyen was fine, Yi Jioga prepared to go deal with the matter at hand. "I'll go with you," Bailey Moyen said. How could he miss out on dealing with Bloodthirsty Ancestor? "No, we need you more here." Although Bailey Moyen's swordsmanship wasn't bad, Yi Jioga had already discussed with Juni-chen and Yi Yu how to deal with the Bloodthirsty Ancestor. Now he was just a burden. Bailey Moyen did not know the inside story and hurriedly explained to Yi Jioga, "Ali and Honglei also have goo worms. Let them take my place." Unexpectedly, Little Green and Little Eagle refused to cooperate at the same time. This task was given to Xiao Tao by Goo King. How would they dare to take it? Gong Honglei and Nan Gongli did not speak, but Su Xian stood up. "You can go, but leave Xiao Tao behind." Her words meant that Xiao Tao was much more important than Bailey Moyen. Chirp, chirp, chirp. Xiao Tao flew to Bailey Moyen's head, indicating that she wanted to advance and retreat together with her stupid master. "Forget it, I'll stay. You guys go." Bailey Moyen was helpless. The feeling of having a pet that was more capable than him was truly refreshing. "Luo Tian, I'll leave the tracking goo to you," Yi Jioga said to Luo Tian. Little Mute's tracking goo could only be controlled by Luo Tian. The green praying mantis and Little Eagle goo could not be controlled. "Don't worry, I'll definitely kill all these bloodthirsty sect disciples." Luo Tian's calm tone revealed incomparable hatred. To him, these bloodthirsty sect disciples were also enemies that exterminated his clan. He had to kill them all for revenge. "All right," Yi Jioga nodded to Luo Tian, then said to Gong Honglei, "Don't worry, we'll definitely rescue Grandmaster Gong." "All right." Gong Honglei did not know that his third uncle had already been captured. He thought that he was trapped somewhere, so he nodded in confusion. After Yi Jioga told everyone what to pay attention to, he brought Juni-chen and Yi Yu towards the hall, following the aura of the green miracle pill. The hall was a mess, and there was black poisonous blood everywhere. Bloodthirsty Ancestor and Si Yue were nowhere to be seen. Wang Haoqiang lay on the ground, his face twisted with hatred. Lin Yinxi hid in a corner, holding her bloody face and groaning in pain. The moment she saw Yi Jioga, she immediately shouted frantically, "Please save me." Yi Joga looked down at Lin Yinchi and asked, "Tell me where Bloodthirsty Ancestor and Si Yue went, and I'll help you." Bloodthirsty Ancestor went to the blood pool to heal. I don't know where Si Yue went. Lin Yinchi breathed heavily and answered with difficulty. All right. Yi Joga raised his hand and shot out a purple spirit light, instantly piercing through Lin Yinchi's heart. Lin Yinchi stared at Yi Joga with wide eyes, her lips moving as if she wanted to say something. No need to thank me. Yi Joga acted as if this was what he should do. Lin Yinchi's face twisted, and she violently gasped for breath before collapsing unwillingly. Yi Yu, where's the blood pool? Yi Joga walked past Lin Yinchi's corpse to Yi Yu. Yi Yu took out the map of Blood Cloud Mountain that Skinny Monkey had given him, pointed at the center, and said, "It's here. Let's go." Yi Joga continued to rush there. The three of them passed through the passageways and arrived at the blood pool, where Bloodthirsty Ancestor cultivated. At this time, the stone door was closed, and there was no one outside. Yi Joga raised his hand and used brute force to break open the stone door. Debris flew everywhere, and the smell of blood assaulted their nostrils. What they saw was Yu Lingjun soaking in the blood pool, with a painful expression. Bloodthirsty Ancestor sat in the middle of the blood pool, and the black blood on his body had been diluted a lot. Yi Joga raised the Thunder Snake Illusion Whip and swung it at Bloodthirsty Ancestor. Blood splashed everywhere, and the pool cracked. Bloodthirsty Ancestor's eyes were closed, but his body automatically flew out of the blood pool, nimbly dodging the whip. Yi Joga did not chase after him, but took Yu Lingjun with him. Yu Lingjun was still breathing, but the flesh of her two calves had been completely dissolved, revealing her white bones. Yi Joga sealed several of her major acupuncture points, fed her an essence-nurturing pill, and put her aside. Bloodthirsty Ancestor opened his eyes and looked at Yi Joga and the others with hatred. Time was too short, and he could only expel the poison on the surface of the green miracle pill. His body was still seriously injured. Chapter 261. Bloodthirsty Old Monster. Juni-Chen gritted his teeth as he looked at the enemy who exterminated his clan. A pair of big black eyes were suffused with thin streaks of blood, and his abdomen was violently bulging, bursting out with endless killing intent. Little trash, I let you live that year out of kindness. I didn't think you would come back to die. Bloodthirsty Ancestor laughed eerily. Let's see who dies first. The life-bound Gu's sharp voice came out of Juni-Chen's mouth. Its face, which looked like Juni-Chen's, was extremely ferocious. Its golden wings flapped up and down, and those eerie human faces turned into flying human heads Gu that looked exactly like it. You refined my lifeblood essence? Bloodthirsty Ancestor immediately smelled a familiar aura from the life-bound Gu. He didn't think that his lifeblood essence was refined by this little trash. If he knew this, he would have killed him no matter what. That's right, die. The life-bound Gu let out a sharp howl. The flying human heads Gu surged towards Bloodthirsty Ancestor like a black tide. Bloodthirsty Ancestor flipped his palm, and a palm-sized blood-colored bell appeared. This bell was quite similar to Lu Yunfei's back then, but the lines on it were even more complicated, and its power was even more powerful. Yi Joga immediately poured half a bottle of clear heart pills into his mouth. Yi Yu and Juni-Chen did the same. Bloodthirsty Ancestor shook the bell, and the demonic sound shook people's souls like a group of demons dancing. Juni-Chen was prepared for this move after fighting Lu Yunfei last time. He and the life-bound Gu let out a strange and cryptic sound at the same time. The flying human heads Gu immediately gathered together, turning into a small black bird similar to Little Peach. It opened its mouth and let out a chirping sound. The sound of tens of thousands of Gu was much more powerful than Little Peach's, instantly suppressing Bloodthirsty Ancestor's demonic sound. Bloodthirsty Ancestor's expression changed slightly, and the sound of the blood bell changed again. It sounded like it was crying and complaining, as if it was summoning something. Yi Joga's hair stood on end, and he quickly opened his spiritual eye to take a closer look. He saw a thin blood-red figure appear on the wall behind Juni-Chen. Careful! She swung her Thunder Snake illusionary whip, and shot a purple lightning bolt at the wall, blocking the red figure that was flying out. Junie Chen's reaction was also very fast, immediately controlling the human head flying goo to shoot an arm-thick black light towards the red figure. With a loud bang, gray light and blood splattered everywhere. After the light dispersed, the blood-red shadow revealed its true appearance. It was a Yin corpse that looked exactly like Bloodthirsty's forefather. Twin Yin corpses? Yi Joga was shocked. She also recognized how strong these Yin corpses were. Kill them all! Bloodthirsty's ancestor ordered the Yin corpses. The twin Yin corpses' blood aura exploded, and a hole appeared in the ground with a single step. Their bodies were like cannonballs as they flew towards the black bird formed by the human head flying goo. The human head flying goo could not dodge in time, and was hit by the twin Yin corpses' palms. It gave a pitiful cry, and was instantly destroyed. Junie Chen's body trembled, and a trace of blood seeped out from the corner of his mouth. His dark eyes revealed an even fiercer expression. The remaining head flying goo gathered again, and fought with the twin Yin corpses. However, it was obvious that the natal goo was no match for it. Yi Joga saw that the situation was bad, and immediately bit her finger to feed blood to the Thunder Snake illusionary whip. The Thunder Snake illusionary whip's blood aura exploded, revealing the true appearance of the black and white pythons. Go! Yi Joga pointed at the twin Yin corpses. The Thunder Snake illusionary whip roared, and turned into a black and white python, fiercely charging at the twin Yin corpses. The twin Yin corpses' blood aura exploded, and turned into two blood-red palms, trying to break the black and white pythons. Yi Joga formed a seal, and the white python dodged the two blood-red palms, tightly binding the twin Yin corpses. The black python took this chance to open its mouth and bite at the twin Yin corpses. The twin Yin corpses' blood aura condensed into stone, blocking the black python's attack. Little mute, quickly go! Yi Joga shouted. Junie Chen immediately spat out a mouthful of blood essence towards the natal goo. The natal goo's body shined with a golden light, covering the remaining human head flying goo. The human head flying goo split into countless more, instantly submerging the twin Yin corpses, swallowing the twin Yin corpses' blood aura in large mouthfuls. The bloodthirsty ancestor was incomparably distressed. The twin Yin corpses' blood aura was refined from the purest blood essence. Each mouthful was the result of many years of hard work. Seeing the critical situation, the bloodthirsty ancestor could not care about anything else. He fiercely bit the tip of his tongue, and spat out a mouthful of blood essence onto the blood-red bell, crazily shaking it. The twin Yin corpses' blood-red eyes flashed with a fierce light. The blood aura on their body turned into countless flying needles, sending the human head flying goo flying. Yi Joga's white python's light became dimmer and dimmer. It could not last much longer. The bloodthirsty ancestor's heart was filled with joy, concentrating even more on controlling the twin Yin corpses to escape. Hold on. Yi Joga continued to pour spiritual energy into the Thunder Snake illusionary whip, but the white python still could not bind the twin Yin corpses. When the twin Yin corpses were about to escape, the bloodthirsty ancestor suddenly gave a pitiful cry. His weak abdomen had been pierced by a gray blade. Yi Yu had been secretly looking for an opportunity ever since he had taken the secret pill. Finally, when the bloodthirsty ancestor was concentrating on controlling the twin Yin corpses, his sneak attack succeeded. The bloodthirsty ancestor was a decisive person. His palms slammed into the gray blade. The gray blade was instantly sent flying, and Yi Yu was also slammed into the wall by this huge force. I'll kill you all. The bloodthirsty ancestor went crazy after being injured. A cold light flashed in his hand, and a several-inch-long blood-red dagger appeared. He raised the dagger and chopped off half of his hand. When the twin Yin corpses saw this, they immediately swallowed it in large mouthfuls, letting out a painful groan. Two black lights came from the top of its head, finally turning into two strange goat horns. When it opened its bloody mouth, sharp fangs that were several inches long could be seen. Its eyes and hair had also turned blood-red, making it look extremely terrifying. Ghost corpse. Yi Joga's pupil shrank. This was the combination of a ghost head and a zombie. It was a very strange corpse-controlling technique. Kill them all. The bloodthirsty ancestor endured the pain in his hand and pointed at Yi Joga's group as he roared. The ghost corpse's eyes flashed with a red light, and it immediately turned into a blood-red shadow that charged at Yi-Jyoga. Yi-Jyoga's expression became serious as he formed a seal. The black and white pythons formed a circle around her head and tail. The ghost corpse slammed into the circle. The circle violently shook. Yi-Jyoga's face turned white, and he couldn't help taking 3 steps back. The ghost corpse opened its large bloody mouth and spat out a thick blood-red light, as thick as an arm at the black and white pythons. With a loud explosion, the circle formed by the black and white pythons suddenly shattered into countless black and white lights. The thunder snake illusionary whip gave a mournful cry and flew back into Yi-Jyoga's hand. Yi-Jyoga's eyes turned black, and his chest was filled with pain. His blood rushed up, and a mouthful of blood rushed to his throat. Chapter 262. Bloodthirsty Ancestor was overjoyed and shook the bell even more crazily, trying to control the ghost zombie to kill Yi-Jyoga. At the crucial moment, Junichin risked his life. He used his index finger to cut his wrist and sprinkled a lot of blood on the lifebound goo and flying head goo. The lifebound goo screeched crazily and fused with the remaining flying head goo into a sharp spear that stabbed at Bloodthirsty Ancestor. Bloodthirsty Ancestor's pupil shrank, and he immediately summoned the ghost zombie to block in front of him. The ghost zombie let out an angry roar. The 2 goat horns on its forehead flew out and turned into 2 black lights that collided with the spear. It was a silent collision, but the light that was emitted was even more terrifying. The entire cave wall was shaking, and countless fragments fell down from it. The ghost zombie stood in place without moving. The lifebound goo flew back to Junichin's shoulder. Junichin's small face was deathly pale and his eyes, nose and mouth were bleeding. It seemed that his injuries were not light. Ha ha ha. Bloodthirsty Ancestor laughed wildly and looked at Yi-Jyoga's group as if he was looking at dead people. If you obediently surrender, I can leave your corpses intact. Then, he chopped off 2 fingers and threw them to the ghost zombie, trying to capture Yi-Jyoga's group in one go. The ghost zombie's attacks became fiercer. Junichin and the lifebound goo could only barely defend. Yi swallowed another secret pill and hid in the shadows, looking for a chance to attack. Yi-Jyoga stood in place without moving. Her beautiful eyes flashed as she searched for the weakness of Bloodthirsty Ancestor and the ghost zombie. In her spirit eye's vision, Bloodthirsty Ancestor and the ghost zombie were 2 red shadows. Bloodthirsty Ancestor was hit by her green miracle pill, so the blood shadow was faint. After the ghost zombie swallowed Bloodthirsty Ancestor's fingers, the blood shadow was thicker. However, there was a dark red spot on the top of its head, which was closely related to the blood-colored bell in Bloodthirsty Ancestor's hand. It was there. Yi-Jyoga's eyes brightened. She grabbed the thunder snake illusionary whip and poured all her spirit energy into it. The black and white pythons fused together and turned back into the purple lightning snake, flying towards Bloodthirsty Ancestor. This was Yi-Jyoga's last attack. The lightning on the purple lightning snake was the size of a thumb and was very ferocious. Bloodthirsty Forefather didn't dare to face it head-on and immediately dodged to the side. He did not expect that the target of Yi-Jyoga's whip was not him, but the top of the ghost zombie's skull. Bang! The dark red color on the top of the ghost zombie's head was shattered. The bell in Bloodthirsty Forefather's hand flew out as well. He hurriedly summoned the blood-red bell back. The blood-red bell that had just flown out immediately flew back. Forefather Bloodthirsty took back the bell and tried to control the ghost zombie again. A moment later, the ghost zombie's shriveled hand silently pierced Forefather Bloodthirsty's chest. The ghost zombie forcefully pulled out a bright red heart. Yi-Jyoga couldn't help but look at the ghost zombie's shadow. It turned out that Yi was hiding there, using the puppet killer to control the ghost zombie to attack Bloodthirsty Forefather. The Bloodthirsty Ancestor never thought that he would die to his own corpse. His eyes bulged out, and he reached out with a trembling hand, trying to take back his heart. However, Yi-Jyoga's whip had smashed his heart into minced meat. Bloodthirsty Ancestor's face was filled with despair as he looked at the minced meat on the ground. He fell to the ground with a bang. Very quickly, he turned into a puddle of black blood. The ghost zombie's goat horns and fangs had all disappeared. After it turned back into the twinning corpses, it also fell next to bloodthirsty ancestor. Yi Joga took out a drop of kerosene and dripped it on the twinning corpses. Bloodthirsty ancestor and the 3 blood pawns were completely burned. Bloodthirsty ancestor is really dead? Junichin looked at the raging fire in front of him. He suddenly had a feeling of realization. The bloodthirsty ancestor that he thought was invincible had died at his hands. He had finally taken revenge for his clansmen. Bloodthirsty ancestor is dead, but Siyue is still alive. We have to find her quickly. Yi Joga did not forget that Siyue and the demon corpses were the final big bosses. I'll go with you. Yi Yu's hoarse voice came from the corner. He had used up all his spirit energy to control the ghost zombie. You stay here to support Bailey Moyen and take care of Yu Lingjun. Yi Joga looked at Yi Yu's pale face and said, No, I'm going to find Siyue. Yi Yu supported himself against the wall and stood up. He immediately fell to the ground. He had just swallowed 2 pills, and his body was exhausted. He could not even walk now. Why are you still trying to show off at this time? Yi Joga threw a bottle of spirit-recovering pills to Yi Yu and said, Just stay here. Yi Yu's hand was shaking as he received the bottle. He knew that this would only drag Yi Joga down. He could only helplessly nod and say, Young miss, be careful. What about you? How do you feel? Yi Joga looked at Junichin and his life-bound gu. Even if there are 2 more bloodthirsty ancestor, this young master can still kill them. The life-bound gu arrogantly circled Yi Joga's head, and then flew back into Junichin's stomach. Its mouth was screaming loudly, but it was actually exhausted to death. Junichin shook his head and powerlessly sat on the ground. Then you stay here and support Luo Tian with Yi Yu, Yi Joga said. The bloodthirsty ancestors' main targets were Junichin and the life-bound gu. She was not exhausted. Do you know where to find Siyue? Junichin asked weakly. She should be near the eye of the formation. Yi Joga felt through the mark that Zishang was fighting with the demon corpse at the eye of the formation. Siyue should not be too far away. Be careful. Junichin got his revenge and fulfilled his wish. He just wanted to wait for Luo Tian in peace. Don't be too relaxed. Yi Joga reminded the 2. Then carefully walked towards the forbidden area of the bloodthirsty sect with the Thunder Snake illusionary whip. It was quiet along the way. The bloodthirsty sect disciples were mostly concentrated in front fighting the spirit practitioners. There was no one at the back. Yi Joga turned a few corners. When he passed by a cave, he heard a weak cry for help. It seemed to be Qiao Xiaohua's voice. Qiao Xiaohua, is that you? Yi Joga raised his voice and asked. Miss Yi, you're finally here. Hurry and save my junior sister. She was taken away by the bloodthirsty ancestor. Qiao Xiaohua's anxious voice came clearly from inside. Your junior sister is still alive. I've already sent people to take care of her. Hide yourself. Bailey Moyen and the others will come and save you later. Yi Joga did not have time to save a burden. She was about to leave when she heard Qiao Xiaohua shout nervously. Miss, don't go. Master Gong is here too. He doesn't look too good. Then hurry and move aside. I'm going to break the door. If it was Gong Shifan, she would definitely save him. Yi Joga broke the stone door with a whip and saw Qiao Xiaohua standing in the corner with a pale face. He looked very weak. Beside him was a yellow coffin-like thing. Yi Joga walked closer and took a closer look. She realized that the person lying in the coffin was Gong Shifan. Chapter 263. What's wrong with Master Gong? Yi Joga asked Qiao Xiaohua in shock. I'm not sure either. Bloodthirsty ancestor threw Master Gong in and took my junior sister out. But I heard that the Gong family has a life-saving secret art that can use a spirit artifact to stimulate the potential of the body and form a layer of crystal in the body. There will be no damage for 100 days, but the longer it takes to escape, the greater the damage to the cultivation. Qiao Xiaohua said. Yi Joga had heard of this secret art. Gong Shifan's situation was indeed very similar. Then do you know how to help him escape? Yi Joga asked. This is the Gong family's secret art. Only the Gong family knows about it. Qiao Xiaohua shook his head. If it was so easy to know the method to break the secret art, then bloodthirsty ancestor would have eaten Gong Shifan long ago. Then let's take Master Gong out first. Can we still leave? Yi Zhuge planned on letting Qiao Xiaohua pull the coffin. I can still walk, but my spirit power is sealed. I need young miss to take care of me. Qiao Xiaohua smiled bitterly. Yi Zhuge could see that Qiao Xiaohua's spirit power had been sealed by bloodthirsty ancestor, using a special method. He was like a cripple. It was too troublesome to remove this restriction. It was better to leave and find Zishang first. Qiao Xiaohua didn't say much. He carried Gong Shifan on his back and followed Yi Zhuge to the forbidden area. At this moment, the forbidden area was already filled with debris, and rumbling sounds could be heard. The demon corpse had probably received the order to fight with all its might. Every move was extremely powerful. The pitch-filled passageways were all destroyed. The 13 pillars were all over the place, covering the empty space in the middle. Zishang, on the other hand, appeared to be quite relaxed. He held a purplish-black spear in his hand and circled around the demon corpse, as if he were playing with a cat. Seeing Yi Zhuge arrive, he could still throw a glance over. Yi Zhuge rolled his eyes at him. He squatted near the ruins and opened his spirit eye to search for traces of Siyue. Logically, Siyue's cultivation had been damaged by the green elixir. She couldn't be too far away from the demon corpse. However, she couldn't find any trace of Siyue after looking around. Could she be at the Blood Lotus? Yi Zhuge called out the treasure-seeking scorpion and ordered, "See if there's a woman near the Blood Lotus." Creak. With a flash of yellow light, the treasure-seeking scorpion burrowed into the ground and searched quickly. It came back and reported, "Zhi, there is no one nearby." Where did he hide? Yi Zhuge frowned and put away the treasure-seeking scorpion. He glanced at the demon corpse that was fighting intensely with Zishang and muttered to himself, "It seems that I have to think of a way to kill the demon corpse first." After fighting with the bloodthirsty ancestor, she found that each Yin corpse had a control point. As long as he destroyed that area, he could break the connection between the corpse controller and the Yin corpses. He did not believe that Siyue would not appear. Yi Zhuge focused his gaze and saw that the demon corpse was covered in black qi, with only a little red near its heart. Zishang hit its heart. Yi Zhuge shouted. The purple deceased spear spun and burst forth with countless tiny spirit spikes that pierced towards the demon corpse. The demon corpse relied on its reinforced iron bones to ignore these little spirit spikes and continued to attack the purple deceased sword. Zishang revealed a sly smile and rubbed his fingers together. The small spirit spike that pierced the demon corpse's body instantly grew to the size of an arm and pierced through the demon corpse's heart. The demon corpse remained motionless, but it instinctively made a defensive posture. Zishang did not continue to attack the demon corpse, but rather stood on a pillar to recover his demonic energy. That move just now consumed a lot of demonic energy. If it wasn't for Yi Zhuge's request, he would not have used it. After all, the demon corpse was already dead. The heart was not its fatal point. Yi Zhuge saw the demon corpse stop and immediately looked for Siyue with wide eyes. But she saw Zishang suddenly turn around and charge at her. A trace of panic suddenly appeared on his handsome demonic face, like he had seen something terrifying. The demon corpse that had stopped suddenly jumped up, its black claws reaching for Zishang's back. But Zishang did not care at all. He just crazily charged at Yi Zhuge. Yi Zhuge's heart skipped a beat. She inexplicably felt danger. But before she could react, she felt a pain in her waist. In the next moment, an extremely cold and powerful force suddenly erupted. She couldn't help flying out. Her water-red dress bloomed in the air, like a flower that was about to wither. Ha ha ha! A woman's proud laughter came from behind Yi Zhuge. Qiao Xiaohua, who had been trembling just now, stood up, his eyes flashing red, his mouth revealing a strange smile. The real Qiao Xiaohua was already dead. Now it was just a corpse controlled by Siyue's spirit. Siyue took advantage of Yi Zhuge's inattention and gave her a Xianming netherbone needle. This Xianming netherbone needle was specially used to destroy people's dantians. It was extremely vicious. She had only collected one. She used it on Yi Zhuge this time. Firstly, because she hated him for using the green miracle pill to plot against her. And secondly, because she wanted to take the opportunity to drag Yizi down. As long as she and the demon corpse worked together to attack the heavily injured Yi Jioga, Yizi would be unable to defend herself. Sooner or later they would kill her, and the remaining people would not be a threat. When that time came, she would kill everyone in Blood Cloud Peak and bring back the Blood Lotus. It would be considered as completing Elder Cho Sen's task. Cuyu's attack was successful. Her spirit immediately separated from Qiao Xiaohua and returned to her body. She used the remaining Yin Qi in the array to set up a concealment array. Only then did she avoid the eyes of Yi Jioga and the treasure-seeking scorpion. Zishang's left hand hugged Yi Jioga, his right hand bursting with purple light, and he attacked Cuyue. Cuyue waved her hand craftily, grabbing Gong Shifan to use as a shield. Zishang's palm landed on Gong Shifan. The yellow crystal coffin did not move an inch, but Cuyue, who was hiding behind it, was sent flying 3 feet, crashing through a wall. "Save me!" Cuyue felt the endless killing intent from Zishang, and immediately screamed. The demon corpse received the order, and immediately pounced forward, hugging Zishang tightly with both hands. Zishang's black pupils instantly turned into purple vertical pupils. His jet-black hair turned silver, dancing in the wind. A terrifying demonic aura burst out like lava, instantly shattering the demon corpse's 2 arms into pieces. "Demon Emperor, how is this possible?" Cuyu's eyes widened. She never thought that this so-called expert bodyguard was actually a demon, and a demon that was as terrifying as an emperor. Zishang opened his right hand, and the purple spear pierced towards Cuyue with a terrifying sound. Cuyue was so scared that her face turned ashen, and she threw out all the defensive talismans and spiritual weapons on her. Rays of defensive light lit up in front of her, but they were all shattered by Zishang's spear. Cuyue saw that she could not dodge, and could only bear the pain, and put the Iron Tortoise Vajra protective talisman that Elder Cho Sun had given her on her chest. This talisman was said to be able to block an all-out attack from a high-level soul master. A black spiritual light that was as solid as a city wall lit up on Cuyu's body, looking indestructible and despairing. A demonic light flashed in Zishang's eyes, and the purple-black spear instantly turned into a silver dragon, smashing the precious Iron Tortoise Vajra protective talisman into pieces. Cuyu's whole body was in pain, and her meridians flowed backward. She suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood and fainted. Zishang wanted to kill her again, but the demon corpse rushed over without a care for its own safety, biting Cuyu's belt, and quickly fled into the distance, dragging its severed arm. Chapter 264. Zishang stared coldly at the fleeing demon corpse and Cuyue. Even if Cuyue didn't die, she would become a cripple. There was nothing to fear. The most important thing now was to save Jioga. Zishang suppressed his murderous intent and placed Yi Jioga on the ground. He asked nervously, "Jioga, how do you feel?" Yi Jioga curled up on the ground, her face pale. Her dantian was about to explode from the pain. She couldn't say a word. Zishang tore open Yi Jioga's clothes at the waist. Her flat belly was a mess. The 9 poisons had all mixed together and destroyed her dantian and meridians. Zishang's expression immediately turned terrifying. That damned woman had used the Xianming netherbone needles on Jioga. He should have torn her to pieces. Zishang. Yi Jioga lifted her head weakly. She could clearly feel her life slipping away. At this moment, she suddenly regretted arguing with Zishang in the past. She tried to lift her arm, wanting to touch Zishang's face and tell him not to be nervous. But before she could lift it, it drooped down powerlessly. "Don't be afraid, I will definitely save you." Zishang held her hand gently and spat out a thumb-sized purple pearl. The pearl's light was restrained, and one could vaguely see countless little dragons swimming inside. It was Zishang's beast core. Zishang stuffed the beast core into Yi Jioga's mouth and rushed to where the blood lotuses were growing. In the blood lotus pond, 3 blood lotuses the size of bowls were already in full bloom. Each petal looked like it was carved from blood jade and emitted a refreshing fragrance. The essence of the blood pond had been completely absorbed by them, leaving only a pool of fragrant jade water. It was formed by the fallen leaves of the blood lotuses and had the effect of cleansing one's marrow and meridians. Zishang carried Yi Jioge to the side of the pond and waved his sleeves. The 3 blood lotuses rose up and floated towards him. He opened the white jade box and put away 2 of them. He bit the last one. The fiery blood lotus was beautiful, but Zishang was even more beautiful with the blood lotus in his mouth. His eyes flashed with determination. He quickly took off Yi Jioge's clothes and put her naked in the pond. He also quickly took off his clothes and covered her with his strong body. "What are you doing?" Yi Jioge asked weakly. She was about to die, but Zishang still didn't let her go. He was too much of a beast. "To save you." Zishang lowered his head and pushed the blood lotus into Yi Jioge's mouth with his tongue. The blood lotus melted the moment it entered Yi Jioge's mouth. It tasted strange and cold, causing Yi Jioge's body to tremble. Before she could get used to the feeling, she felt a sharp pain in her lower body. Yi Jioge's eyes widened as he looked at Zishang in disbelief. Her first time, without any foreplay or sweet nothings, was taken away by Zishang, this beast. "Damn, what kind of technique is this? Do you know how to dual cultivate? What nonsense are you thinking? Do you still want to live?" Zishang had to hand it to Yi Jioge. At a time of life and death, she could still think of such trivial things. "Can I live if I sleep with you? Don't tell me that stick of yours is condensed from the essence of life. Right now, I'm going to guide the inner core to help you reconstruct your dantian. Hurry up and chant the cultivation method to coordinate with me," Zishang said in an incomparably serious tone. His body coordinated with the cultivation method and began moving. 9 shallow and 1 deep. Waves of pure energy flowed directly into Yi Jioge's injured dantian. Yi Jioge's entire body went numb. She could clearly feel a pearl rolling around in her dantian, along with Zishang's movements. The originally chaotic dantian began to clear up. Her meridians were reconstructed one by one. The scattered spiritual energy also began to reorganize. Yi Jioge finally knew that Zishang was really saving her. She stared at Zishang's incomparably handsome face in a daze. Although they were doing the most intimate and shameful thing, his expression was incomparably solemn. He didn't seem to be enjoying it at all. Yi Jioge's heart also gradually calmed down. She silently chanted the manifestation art to coordinate with Zishang's movements. Their bodies entangled in the blue water, stirring up surging waves. Zishang continuously used all kinds of techniques, not letting go of any gap in Yi Jioge's movements. He was determined to completely heal her body from the inside out. Yi Jioge's collapsed dantian was finally reconstructed under Zishang's efforts. Unfortunately, the originally clearly separated 9 layers of broken bones had all merged together, turning into a thumb-sized black ball that hung in the middle of the dantian like a black hole. "What should I do?" Yi Jioge hugged Zishang's neck, her long legs firmly clamped around his waist. Zishang continuously circulated his energy, wanting to disperse the ball of poison. Unfortunately, it was of no use. "If you can't do it, let's do it next time. I can't take it anymore." Yi Jioge's entire body was numb. Zishang's iron rod hadn't been ground into a needle. Her grassland was about to be flattened. All right. Zishang saw that Yi Jioge really couldn't take it anymore, so he could only retreat first. Yi Jioge lost the support of the rod. She immediately slid down from Zishang's body and fell into the pool. Zishang hurriedly scooped her up, wrapped her in a clean cloth, and walked to the pool. "How do you feel?" Zishang asked worriedly. "I'm all right." Yi Jioge nodded. She really thought that she was going to die. Fortunately, Zishang was awesome enough to save her. "Try to circulate your energy." Zishang's expression didn't relax at all. Yi Jioge tried to circulate her energy, but found that her dantian was empty. The once full spiritual energy had disappeared. She immediately panicked. She hurriedly increased her strength, but there was still no reaction. "What's going on? Where's my spiritual energy?" Yi Jioge nervously grabbed Zishang's hand. "Looks like it still won't work." Zishang sighed. He had already tried his best to repair Yi Jioge's dantian. However, the poison mixed with the 9 layers of broken bones had sucked away all the spiritual energy in her dantian. "Then can I still cultivate in the future?" Yi Jioga wasn't afraid of temporary failure. She was afraid of becoming a cripple forever. The ball of poison in your body is now a bottomless pit. No matter how much spiritual energy you cultivate, it will all be devoured by it. Before you think of a solution, you have to cultivate the myriad beast spell to limit the development of this bottomless pit. Zishang said solemnly. Although this method didn't solve the problem, it was better than losing her life. Myriad beast spell, isn't that the cultivation method of the Yao clan? She was a genuine human. If she cultivated the cultivation method of the Yao clan, wouldn't she become a transvestite? That's right. The myriad beast spell is a body cultivation method. The strongest part of the Yao clan is their iron bones and copper skin. In your current situation, you can only cultivate the myriad beast spell to temper your muscles and bones, suppress the poison, and increase your defense. In order to increase his credibility, Zishang reached out and pinched Yi Jioga's arm. It immediately turned red. Look, you're as weak as a baby now. However, if you cultivate the myriad beast spell, you'll be invulnerable, and you'll be impervious to fire and water just like me. Zishang said as he took out a dagger and forcefully cut his arm to prove the huge difference between humans and Yao. Chapter 265. Yi Jioga looked speechlessly at Zishang's undamaged arm and asked, "Do you want to perform breaking rocks with your chest again? It's more like breaking your chest. Just tell me if you want to practice it or not." Zishang turned the dagger around and pointed it at Yi Jioga. "Cultivate." Yi Jioga admitted defeat. She knew that her small body had no spiritual power to protect it. One poke and she would die. It was safer to cultivate skin thicker. Wise move. Zishang put away the dagger and secretly sighed in relief. He was really afraid that Yi Jioga wouldn't practice it. "We'll talk about cultivation tomorrow. Let's go out first so they won't worry." "Wait, where are the blood lotuses?" Yi Jioga looked at the empty pond and asked. "There are 2 more. I already put them in your Qianquan bag." Zishang helped Yi Jioga put on her clothes and carried her. Yi Jioga wrapped her arms around Zishang's neck and was finally relieved. Gong Shifan attacked bloodthirsty sect for the blood lotuses. He couldn't let them come for nothing. After Yi Jioga went out, she found Yi Yu, Junichen, and Luo Tian guarding outside. She was a little embarrassed and struggled to get up. Zishang put her down, but his arms were still wrapped around her waist. Yi Jioga was still a little weak and couldn't stand properly. She let him support her. "Eldest miss, what's wrong?" Yi Yu's handsome face was filled with worry. He knew that Yi Jioga had always been strong. It wasn't her style to lean weakly in Yi Zi's arms. "I'm fine. I'm just exhausted." Yi Jioga shook her head. She didn't want others to know that she had no spiritual power. There were too many people who wanted to harm her. If they knew that she was a cripple, it would bring endless trouble. "That's good." Yi Yu instantly sighed in relief. Junichen frowned. His intuition told him that it wasn't so simple. However, Yi Jioga didn't want to say, so he didn't ask. "Sorry, we didn't catch Siyue." Yi Jioga sighed. She disappointed Yi Yu. Incorp sect is not easy to deal with. It's good that you guys are fine. Yi Yu forced a smile and shook his head. Although he was sad, saving his sister was his business. He didn't have the right to let Yi Jioga and Yi Zi risk their lives. Just as Yi Jioga was about to comfort Yi Yu, he heard Xiao Tao's cheerful chirping coming from a distant passage. Following that, Bailey Moyen, Nangong Li, Gong Honglei and the others also rushed over. When Yi Jioga saw Gong Honglei, he immediately thought of something. "Master Gong is still at the array core." "Eldest miss, don't worry. My third uncle has already woken up." Gong Honglei had already successfully removed the golden coffin from Gong Shifan's body. The solution was to use the blood key left behind by Gong Shifan. Before Gong Shifan went in, he was worried that something would happen, so he secretly left a blood essence key for Gong Honglei. Gong Honglei had saved Gong Shifan in time. Gong Shifan's injuries were not serious, but he was still a little weak and was resting outside. "Then I'll go see him." With Zishang's support, Yi Jioga arrived at the cave where Gong Shifan was resting. Although Gong Shifan's face was pale, he was still in good spirits. He asked Yi Jioga, Did young lady Yi find the blood lotus? Yes, there are a total of 3 blood lotus. I just ate one to heal my injuries, so there are still 2 left. Yi Jioga took out the 2 flowers from his cosmos bag and handed them to Gong Shifan. Everyone looked at them with envy. However, Yi Jioga had found them himself. No one would say anything even if he ate all of them, let alone one. I'll help you exchange this flower for Master Dongfang's Master Establishment Pill. This one is a purchase from the Gong family. You can name the price. Gong Shifan solemnly received the blood lotus. We'll talk about this when we get back. Right now, the most important thing is to clean up the bloodthirsty sect's remnants and see what good things the bloodthirsty sect patriarch has collected. Yi Jioga was not afraid that Gong Shifan would go back on his words. Yes. Let's hurry and find where the bloodthirsty sect patriarch's treasures are. The spiritualists immediately became excited when they heard that they were going to plunder the bloodthirsty sect's treasures. The bloodthirsty sect patriarch's cave is in the middle. The good things should be there. Yi Jioga took out the map of the bloodthirsty sect and showed it to everyone. Alright, then let's go to the bloodthirsty sect patriarch's cave first. Gong Shifan nodded. Then, the spiritualists noisily rushed to the bloodthirsty sect patriarch's cave and rummaged through it. In the end, Yi Jioga found the bloodthirsty sect's secret treasure vault with Zishang's reminder. Although the secret treasure vault was not big, it was filled with 5 large chests. Yi Jioga casually opened one of the chests and immediately, a spiritual light shone. The 5 chests were filled with spirit jades that the bloodthirsty sect patriarch had plundered over the years. Bailey Moyun and Nangong Li were not excited when they saw the spirit jades. They were core disciples and did not need to worry about resources. However, Su Sun Air, Xia Chenxi and Sun Shufeng's eyes lit up. Although their daily rations were better than that of itinerant cultivators, it was still less than that of large clans. Such a large sum of money was definitely a windfall. How about we split it evenly? Yi Jioga looked at Gong Shifan inquiringly. Gong Shifan was the leader. If he said to take these things back and confiscate them, no one could say anything. Alright. Gong Shifan nodded. He was not that greedy. Su Sun Air, Xia Chenxi, Sun Shufeng, and the others were overjoyed. They could already receive rewards and high contribution points from the Spiritualist Alliance for completing the mission. Now that they received this windfall, they had really struck it rich. The Spiritualist Alliance had a total of 15 people with Gong Shifan. Excluding the dead Qiao Xiaohua, the dead Lin Yanxi, the 2 spies Wang Haoqiang, and the injured Yu Lingjun, there were 11 people left. Yi Jioga's side had 5 people. If they split it evenly according to the number of people, each person would get 1,000 spirit jades. This was definitely a huge sum. Yu Lingjun is one of us. We should give her some too. Gong Honglei was a loyal person. Although Yu Lingjun was very hateful, he still felt that they should share some. The spiritualists looked left and right, but no one said anything. The main reason was that Yu Lingjun was too hateful. She had not caused any trouble along the way, and even caused Qiao Xiaohua to be killed. No one would sympathize with her. Honglei is right. Since we are all in the same team, everyone should have a share. However, she made a big mistake in this mission. It is not right for her to receive the same share. How about this? Everyone will share a piece of spirit jades. It can be considered as a token of our sincerity. Gong Shifan said calmly. Although he agreed to give Yu Lingjun some benefits, he wanted her to remember her mistakes forever. Donating money was definitely a good way to humiliate her. Master Gong is right. I will be the first to donate. Sun Shufeng was the first to take out his spirit jades. The people from the Spiritualist Alliance all donated, but Yi Jioga did not move. It was not that she was reluctant, but because she understood Yu Lingjun's ungrateful personality. She did not want to waste this money. Everyone understood and didn't say anything. Chapter 266. After everyone donated their spiritual jades, Bailey Moyen waved his arms and said excitedly, "Let's go and continue the treasure hunt." The spiritualists roared and continued to search. Finally, Yi Jioga found another medicine room with Zishang's reminder. It was filled with rare spiritual herbs that the bloodthirsty ancestor had accumulated over the years. Among them, the blood refining method produced the most spiritual herbs. Although the spiritual herbs cultivated this way contained a lot of vitality, it required a special method to refine. There weren't many alchemists who knew about it, so the price fluctuated. Miss, you can choose first, Gong Shifan said matter-of-factly. In that case, I won't stand on ceremony. Yi Jioga wasn't a pretentious person. She immediately put away the most precious blood-refining spiritual herbs. She happened to be the one who knew about it. I'll give my share to Miss too. Bailey Moyen wasn't proficient in medicinal herbs and didn't care much about these things. My share is also. Next, Nangong Li Gong Honglei, Su Sun Air, Xia Chenxi Sun Shufeng, and the others all gave up. The other spiritualists also pushed the boat to Yi Jioga. They had just received a lot of spiritual jades. These spiritual herbs were really nothing, so they might as well use them as a favor. Next, everyone searched the bloodthirsty sect according to the map, but they didn't find any valuable treasures. Everyone, search the bloodthirsty sect carefully again. If there's nothing, destroy this place, Gong Shifan said. Although the big treasures were gone, there were still many small things. They would just treat it as a treasure hunt. Okay. The spiritualists all responded and split into several teams to search separately. Yi Jioga and Zishang were naturally a team. No need to search. The valuable things are in the 2 secret rooms just now, Zishang said. The bloodthirsty ancestor is too stingy. Although Yi Jioga got a lot of things, she still felt unsatisfied. Then you've wronged him. The good things are all here. Zishang flipped his hand, and 2 black storage bags appeared. When did you get them? Yi Jioga asked in surprise. I contributed the most, so I naturally have to take the best things. Zishang said this with no happy expression on his face. No matter how good something was, it couldn't compare to the damage Yi Jioga had suffered. You're the best. Yi Jioga happily punched Zishang and snatched the storage bag. As soon as she opened the first one, she immediately burst into laughter. There was a neatly arranged row of spirit stones, a total of 100 pieces. Even though they were only low-tier spirit stones, a single one of them was worth more than 100 spirit jades. In total, that would be 10,000 spirit jades. He had really struck it rich. In addition to these spirit stones, there were also many rare medicinal herbs that were much more precious than those in the medicine storehouse. Yi Jioga then opened the second storage bag. There were only 2 brocade boxes inside. She opened it and saw that there were 2 spiritual weapons inside. A treasure. Yi Jioga's eyes shone. Although spirit stones and medicinal ingredients were very precious, they could not be compared to spirit tools. After all, spirit stones and medicinal herbs could be exchanged for with money, but good spirit tools could only be found if one was fated. Not to mention the fact that it was left behind by bloodthirsty ancestor, so it must be the best. What's this? Yi looked over curiously. In the first brocade box was a 3-inch long knife. It was rusty, and the blade was stained with a bit of blood. It looked dirty and gave people an uncomfortable feeling, as if they were going to be swallowed by it if they looked at it for too long. In the second brocade box was a thumb-sized black seed. The golden patterns on it looked like a blooming lotus. It was obviously not an ordinary item. This is the evil knife. It has the ability to swallow blood and spiritual energy. You need to drip a drop of blood to open it. This is the flower spirit pearl. It's needed for spirits to transform. You humans don't need it. Zishang gave a brief introduction. Who wants this evil knife? Yi Jioga already had the Thunder Snake Illusion Whip, so she did not need this evil knife. However, she had to keep the flower spirit pearl. It might be useful in the future. No. Juni Chen and Luo Tian shook their heads at the same time. Gu were their weapons. External objects were useless to them. I don't want it either. Yi Yu hurriedly shook his head. Although he was somewhat tempted by this evil knife, it was given to young mistress by Yi Zi. He would not dare to take it even if he ate a bear's heart or a leopard's gall. Alright, I'll keep it for now. Yi Jioga also felt that this knife was too evil. It was not suitable for Yi Yu and the others. She put away the evil knife and flower spirit pearl and prepared to split the spirit stones. Come, come, come. Each person gets 10 spirit stones. Those spirit jades are enough for us. You don't need to split the spirit stones with us. Junichin refused. Who would complain about having too much money? Just take it. Yi Jyoga had just taken out the spirit stones when she heard Junichin say, "Then I'll exchange all these spirit stones for cherry pills." Me too. Yi Yu and Luo Tian expressed their agreement. Forget it. Pretend I didn't say anything. Yi Jyoga immediately put the spirit stones back. If she exchanged all these spirit stones for cherry pills, her hand would be crippled from cultivating. It's getting late. Let's go. Zishang took the storage bag and left Blood Cloud Peak with Yi Jyoga. Not long after, Gong Shifan, Bailey Moyun and the others walked out. They did not find any treasures along the way, but they found the bloodthirsty sect's evil blood cave. Looking at the piles of bones inside, the martial practitioners were very depressed. They had previously come to destroy the bloodthirsty sect only for the mission reward and Master Dongfang's master-building pills. Now that they saw those women who died tragically, they felt a heavy but accomplished sense of getting rid of the evil. Gong Honglei led people to sprinkle kerosene in every corner of the bloodthirsty sect. The flames surged and burned the sinful bloodthirsty sect to ashes. At night, everyone returned to camp and prepared to rest for a night before setting off. The victory bonfire was lit. The martial practitioners had a bountiful harvest and were all in high spirits. At first, they could be said to be a motley crew, not willing to submit to anyone. But after fighting side by side, their relationship became much better, and they developed a comrade-in-arms relationship. Yi Jyoga was naturally the most popular person. She used the excuse that she had not recovered from her injuries and did not go out to participate in their bonfire gathering. So everyone lined up to visit her. If not for Zishang's covetous gaze, Su Sun Air and the other female martial practitioners would have stayed to take care of Yi Jyoga. I'm fine, you don't have to worry. But did anyone go to take care of you, Lingjun? Yi Jyoga was really not used to Su Sun Air and the others being so enthusiastic, so he could only divert their attention elsewhere. We want to take care of her, but it's a pity that others don't care. Su Sun Air sneered. She had always been straightforward and was on good terms with Yu Lingjun in the past. Seeing that she was injured this time, she wanted to take care of her, but she did not expect to be scolded by her. She said that she was willing to lower herself to hug Yi Jyoga's thigh. Su Sun Air was furious. Yi Jyoga saved Yu Lingjun from the bloodthirsty sect, but not only did she not thank him, she even scolded him. She really did not know what was good for her. Chapter 267. Although Qiao Xiaohua died and she became a cripple, it's normal for her to be unhappy, but scolding people is still too much. Xia Chenxi was also dissatisfied with Yu Lingjun. As expected, a pitiful person must have a hateful side. If it wasn't because I pitied her, I would have thrown her to the side of the road. Who cares if she lives or dies? Su Sun Air had a sharp tongue but a soft heart. Although she wanted to teach Yu Lingjun a lesson, she still delivered medicine to her. I saw her apply medicine yesterday. I'll give her some more later. Although Xia Chenxi was calculative, she was still a good person. Miss Su and Miss Xia are indeed kind. Yi Jyoga admired them for this. That's why he showed mercy. Don't call us miss, just call us by our names. Su Sun Air and Xia Chenxi really wanted to build a good relationship with Yi Jyoga. Alright, if you don't mind, just call me Jyoga. Yi Jyoga didn't recommend making more friends. Su Sun Air and Xia Chenxi chatted for a while more. Seeing Yi Jyoga's tired face, they tactfully bid farewell. After Yi Jyoga sent away the passionate visitors, he asked Zishang, "Where did Junichin and the others go?" "They went to the Holy Land." Yi followed them. The three of them specially informed Zishang before leaving. "Then let's go take a look." Yi Jyoga was worried that something would happen to them. Alright. Zishang brought Yi Jyoga to the Holy Land of the blood-clothed tribe. Yi was guarding the door. Seeing her, he signaled them inside. Yi Jyoga walked into the Holy Land and saw Junichin and Luo Tian staring blankly at the mottled wall that used to be filled with goo insects. In front of them was a burning stove, burning the ashes of the bloodthirsty ancestor, to comfort the spirits of the tribe in heaven. Yi Joga waited until Juni-chen and the others finished paying their respects before asking, "What do you plan to do next?" Juni-chen was confused. He had thought of killing the bloodthirsty ancestor countless times to revive the glory of the blood-clothed tribe, but now he felt a little tired. Siyue was heavily injured by Yi Zi. "I'm afraid the corpse sect won't let this go. They might send people back to investigate. It's very dangerous for you to stay here." Yi Joga truly treated the two as friends. He definitely didn't want to see them get hurt. Eldest Miss is right. Yi Yu nodded and added, "You guys go back with us first. You can come back when the situation is less tense." Juni-chen nodded indifferently. There was no one left in the clan. It would be the same whenever they returned, so there was no hurry. After resting for a night, Gong Shifan led the group to continue their journey. However, they didn't return to the Thunder Country's Shangjing, but took a detour to Bright Moon City. Bright Moon City was an inferior spirit city. There was a very large workshop inside that had everything one could need. Many spiritualists would come in to replenish their supplies when they passed by. This is the largest workshop in the vicinity. Our Gong family also has property here. We can send someone to send a letter to the Danyang sect and ask them to bring Yu Lingjun back as soon as possible." Gong Shifan said. Yu Lingjun had been throwing a tantrum along the way, and he was starting to get annoyed. He had to send her back to the Danyang sect as soon as possible. "All right." Yi Joga nodded. She also wanted to buy some medicinal ingredients to refine pills. If she wanted to use spiritual power with her broken body, she would need to use the vitality replenishing pill. After all the spiritualists entered the workshop to harvest, many of them came to bid farewell to Yi Joga. They had already completed the Spiritualist Alliance's mission. They only needed Gong Shifan, the leader, to report to the Spiritualist Alliance, and their rewards and points would be sent to their door. Bailey Moyen and Nangongli also came to bid farewell to Yi Joga. "Joga, if you go to the Limitless Sword Pavilion, you must come and see me in Xiaotao," Bailey Moyen said to Yi Joga. He felt that his biggest gain from this experiential learning was getting to know a good friend like Yi Joga. Unfortunately, that Yi Zi was too fierce. He couldn't get close to Yi Joga even if he wanted to. He had tried so hard, but the only thing he could do was to become more intimate with Yi Joga. "Chirp chirp chirp. King, you must come and see me when you're free. Otherwise, I'll be bullied by his little three-clouded leopard." The ahog on Xiaotao's head drooped down, making her look very weak. "All right, I'll thank the heavens if you don't bully other beasts." Yi Joga patted Xiaotao's little head. "I'm the boss. I have to bully my little brother." Xiaotao revealed her true nature in just a few sentences. Yi Joga smiled helplessly. Then he said to Bailey Moyen, "You have to treat Xiaotao well when you go back. Otherwise she might abandon you." "Don't worry. I won't give her that chance." Bailey Moyen also patted Xiaotao's head. The clouded leopard that he raised was still young. It hadn't fought alongside him yet. In comparison, Xiaotao had gone through fire and water with him. She had saved him from danger several times. In terms of feelings, she already had an advantage. "Come to the Purple Cloud sect when you're free." Nangongli didn't say much. He directly gave Yi Joga a bag of self-made talismans. Although they weren't very high grade, they were still worth quite a lot of money on the market. Some of the special talismans might not even be able to be bought with money. "This is my gift. Please accept it." Bailey Moyen also gave Yi Joga a gift. It was a small sword pellet. It contained his sword chi. "Many thanks." Yi Joga didn't decline. He accepted it straightforwardly and gave his own gift. 2 bags of cherry pills were enough for Xiaotao and Xiaoying to eat for a long time. After sending off Bailey Moyun and Nangong Li Xiachensi, Sun Shufeng, and the others also came to bid farewell. Naturally, they also warmly invited Yi Joga to visit them when he was free. Everyone exchanged gifts and went their separate ways. Su Sun Air came to find Yi Joga alone. She once again requested to buy a goo worm from him. "The mission is already completed. Why do you still want a goo worm?" Yi Joga couldn't understand. The more I understand about goo worms, the more I like them. Su Sun Air also didn't know what was going on with her. It was as if she was possessed. Alright. I just happened to have a goo worm. See if you are fated with it. Yi Jioga took out a black worm egg and let Su Sun Air drip her blood on it. After the worm egg sucked the blood, it quickly turned into a cocoon. It was actually a little red-eyed rabbit. It had long ears and a round body. It looked extremely cute and didn't have any lethality. Su Sun Air looked at this rabbit goo. For some reason, her eyes suddenly turned red and tears flowed down. What's wrong with you? Even if you don't like it, you don't have to be so emotional. No, I like it very much. Once a big brother gave me a little rabbit. Later on, it was killed by someone. I have always regretted not being able to protect it. Su Sun Air's gloomy tone revealed a deep story. She wiped her tears and took out a bag of spirit jades for Yi Jioga. This is your reward. Many thanks. I will definitely treat it well. Chapter 268. Yi Jioga opened it and found that it was 1,000 spirit jades, which was equivalent to all the money she got from Bloodthirsty sect. This money could buy a high-level spirit beast. Su Sun Air used this method to show her determination. Yi Jioga only took half of the spirit jades, returned the other half, and gave 10 bottles of cherry pills before sending Su Sun Air away. After Yi Jioga sent the Spiritualist Alliance people, Juni-chan also came to say goodbye to her. I heard that there are Miao people in Miaozhang's 100,000 mountains who are good at raising goo. I want to take a look. Juni-chan said. That was the origin of the blood-clothed Miao people. If he went there, he might be able to improve his goo technique. 100,000 mountains are dangerous. You have to be careful. Yi Jioga did not persuade him. Going to the 100,000 mountains was better than staying in the desolate Blood Cloud Peak. And if luck was good, there might be a great opportunity. Only I will go, Luo Tian will stay. Juni-chan said. Why? Yi Jioga looked at Luo Tian in shock. He was willing to leave his little master? Because I have already sold myself to you. Luo Tian smiled half-truthfully. You don't have to do this. Yi Jioga shook her head and said. If it is for the cherry pill, then I will teach you the pill recipe. You can practice with me for a few days. I guarantee you will master it. Yi Jioga's dantian was crippled. She did not know when it would recover. Luo Tian would not have a good future if he followed her. Is there something wrong with your body? Juni-chan had already noticed something was wrong with Yi Jioga. He just did not have the time to ask. Yes. Yi Jioga only said that she was heavily injured and could not use spirit energy, but did not say that she might become a cripple. Juni-chan instinctively felt that Yi Jioga was not telling the truth. He was silent for a moment, then suddenly said to Luo Tian, From today onwards, you are Yi Jioga's goo master. Luo Tian heard this. A complicated expression flashed in her eyes. Then she nodded heavily. Juni-chan's expression was solemn as he bit his index finger and dripped a drop of blood on Luo Tian's forehead. Luo Tian's eyes were closed, his body trembling violently, cold sweat dripping nonstop, as if he was enduring great pain. Then a small red worm emerged from Luo Tian's forehead, drilling into the wound on Juni-chan's finger. What are you doing? Yi Jioga was puzzled. Luo Tian is no longer a member of the Bloodcloak Miao tribe. Juni-chan said with an expressionless face. Every blood-clothed Miao clansman would be implanted with a blood-clothed goo when they were born. In addition to allowing them to practice goo better, it could also allow them to tame the clan leader. Earlier, Luo Tian said he would sell himself to Yi Jioga, but as long as the Bloodcloak goo was still in his body, he would be a Bloodcloak clan member for the rest of his life. Juni-chan pulled out the Bloodcloak goo, and Luo Tian could sign a slave contract with Yi Jioga. Luo Tian's poisonous insect, Little Red, had an extraordinary aptitude. After it was freed from the suppression of the natal poisonous insect, it was highly likely that it would evolve into a new king of poisonous insects. And when Luo Tian acknowledged Yi Jioga as his master, Yi Jioga indirectly became the leader of a goo sect. The relationship between them was very complicated. Juni-chan didn't say much. It all depended on Luo Tian and Yi Jiuge's luck. Zishang saw all of this. He knew the value of this better than Yi Jiuge. So he said decisively, "Since they are so sincere, then you should sign a slave contract with Luo Tian now." Yi Jiuge signed a slave contract with Luo Tian in a daze, and still didn't understand the changes. But she had never treated Luo Tian as a slave, so she didn't feel much about it. "Let's go. I will teach you guys how to refine the cherry pill now." Yi Jiuge asked for a pill refining room from the Gong family, and brought Junichen to buy the medicinal ingredients needed for pill refining. She was preparing to go into closed-door cultivation to refine pills. But Zishang pulled her back. "Since you want to go into closed-door cultivation, then I will go out and see if there is any way to get rid of the poison in your dantian. You won't be gone for more than 10 years, right?" Yi Jiuge thought of her grandfather and was somewhat worried. "You are thinking too much. At most, I will be back in half a month." Zishang's soul imprint was in Yi Jiuge's hands. If he didn't come back to replenish it, he would be in danger. "Go, go." Hearing that it would only be half a month, Yi Jiuge relaxed. "When I am not here, don't slack off in your cultivation." Zishang really couldn't bear to leave Yi Jiuge, but in order to save her, he had no other choice. "Got it. I will diligently cultivate the 10,000 beasts technique." Yi Jiuge nodded perfunctorily and waved her hand, wanting to send Zishang away. "Little heartless fellow." Zishang pulled Yi Jiuge into his embrace and kissed her fiercely before leaving. Yi Jiuge calmed herself down, then brought Junichen and Luo Tian into the pill refining room and started to refine pills in seclusion. In Yi Jiuge's eyes, refining the cherry pill was actually a very simple matter. As long as the medicinal ingredients were placed into the pill furnace in order, and the heat was controlled. But for those who didn't have any talent in alchemy, this was definitely a very troublesome matter. "Forget it, I will not learn it. Help me refine half a year's worth of cherry pill. I will come and get it from you after I finish eating it." After Junichen refined another batch of pills, he was so desperate that he wanted to give up. Yi Jiuge looked at the black pills in the pill furnace and couldn't say any comforting words. Although alchemy required the accumulation of experience, Junichen had refined 10 batches of pills consecutively without success, so he really didn't have any talent. "Luo Tian, you try?" Yi Jiuge decided to change someone else. The moment Luo Tian started, she succeeded in 2 batches, which made Junichen feel even more hopeless and depressed. "Actually, this pill isn't difficult to refine, but you have to pay attention to the heat when adding the vermilion fruit and Nepenthes grass." Luo Tian shared her experience. "I know that I have to pay attention to the heat, but I can't grasp the feeling." Junichen shook his head. The feeling of refining pills was related to the attribute of the spirit root. He was a water spirit root, and naturally had no feeling for things like heat. Luo Tian was a fire spirit root. Although it couldn't be compared to wood spirit root and fire spirit root, it was much better than his. Although Junichen had already given up, Yi Jiuge didn't. She thought for 2 days, and finally came up with a solution. She separated the medicinal ingredients of the cherry pill, according to their medicinal properties, and processed them into semi-finished products. The medicinal properties were the same, and the heat was the same, which greatly reduced the difficulty of refining. Then, she took out the 2 medicinal ingredients, the vermilion fruit and Nepenthes grass, and refined them into grass essence. This way, Junichen only needed to put these semi-finished products and grass essence into the pill furnace to refine them, and he wouldn't need to pay special attention to the heat to be able to form the pill. Although the cherry pill refined in this way was slightly inferior to Yi Jiuge's, this kind of idiotic refining method was something that even the most untalented of people could do. Junichen followed Yi Jiuge to learn this method of classification, and the success rate was indeed greatly increased. When his luck was good, he could succeed in 9 batches out of 10, which was simply a miracle for someone with water spirit root. You're tuning in to the Li Mei Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.